Go racing, and we're clean and away. Great stuff. More of that, please.
Pit lane open. Pit lane open. Mind your speed.
Wow.
Bold move there.
Oh no! I think he's played a blinder here. Side by side. Until he's off the track. What a battle to the end.
Fantastic race. Great team effort. Good job, everybody.
Hello everyone, I am Nadia Nash, glad to be back, and we are happy to be welcoming you back to another amazing season here at the Asian Le Mans Series. So of course it's the 2022 season. We are back in the UAE for the second time. Now of course all eyes will be on those money can't buy invitations to the 24 hour of Le Mans, so you can expect suspense, some thrilling action, and of course a lot of drama. Now the race today will be at 4 p.m. but we are focused on qualifying sessions that's about to happen just minutes away. It will be the qualifying session for both race 1 and race 2 for each category, so make sure you stick around, you don't go anywhere so you don't miss any of the qualifying sessions. Of course the show will not be complete if it's just me here in the pit lane in the thick of the action, but we are also joined by our series commentators. Now this season, as usual, we have Graham Goodwin with us, but also we are very lucky and very honored to be welcoming him back again to be commentating on the series. Someone who's very skilled, very experienced, not only in racing and motorsport, but he's also very experienced in 24 Hour of Le Mans. He's won it 5 times. Wow. So help me welcome Oliver Gavin, who will be commentating alongside Graham Goodwin. Oliver, you are up there. How are you feeling? Everything down here is buzzing. We can't wait for qualifying sessions to start.
Hi, this is Nicky Katzberg and I'm going to take you on board for a lap of the Dubai Autodrome in my BMW M4 GT3. Long straight here, coming onto turn 1, which is a big downhill brake zone, heavy braking, really tough for the brakes, for the left front tire, so downhill here, turn in, try to clip the curb on the inside. Get ready for a fast left-hander here, over the curb, and then into this really high-speed section, turn 3, double apex, really cool part of the track. Still high speed to the left here, over the curb, big curves on the right. Double right-hander, really tough to slow it down for the slow part here, not using too much of the curb. Try to use all of it on the exit, maybe a bit too much here. Double left, very interesting corner, banked, which makes it interesting. Long corner, very tough on the right hand side tires, fully over the exit curb here and preparing for the longest straight of the track, trying to have a good exit speed to be faster than everyone else. Again, big braking zone, I would say around about 120 meters, very heavy on the brakes into the ABS, making sure you clip the inside here for that extra bit of rotation, staying to the right, preparing for the next left-hander. Over the curb again, might get a little unsettled, exit curb, very technical section here. Uphill for this right-hander, and then the exit is off-camber and downhill, which makes it very tricky for traction, but our BMW M4 is fantastic, new car, and it's doing really well. Last sector of the track, fast left-hander into a very high banked left-hander here, very technical part again of the track. Love this part, making sure that you stick to the left here to prepare this right-hander. Take all of the inside curb, as much exit speed as you can. I might have gotten a penalty for going too wide. Last corner, making sure you clip the apex and prepare for the straight. All of the exit curb. That was a lap of the Dubai Autodrome circuit.
Look who I found in one of the garages. Of course, it's Graham Goodwin. We just came out of a hot lap. That looks fantastic. The circuit here at the Dubai Autodrome just looks challenging, but really exciting. Now, of course, Graham is the perfect person for us to ask about what's to expect in this season, the 2022 season for Asian Le Mans Series.
Well, it's great to be back, and it's great to be back here in the UAE. What you can expect, and it's great to have you and so many of our friends from Southeast Asia back after the Gap. Rapid fire action, 4 races in just 9 days, a huge amount of track time, and it's going to be very, very exciting.
It definitely will. Now, before the races have even begun, the Asian Le Mans Series is already breaking records, a huge GT field. We've also got new teams joining us.
We have. It's a record GT grid. More cars we've ever had, 23 cars in GT, new cars, new teams, new people to find in this paddock and new things to find out about those cars on 2 very different tracks. It starts here at a very slippery Dubai Autodrome.
Right, good note there, very slippery Dubai Autodrome. The weather plays such a big part. And of course, let's touch a bit on the circuit as we saw in the hot lap just now. What can the drivers expect driving here at Dubai?
Well, as you just heard from Ollie, 5.39 kilometres. It can get slippy, sandy, can have the odd sandstorm here. It's tight and technical, but also at the back of the circuit, it flows very well too. It's going to be a tricky one in traffic, particularly with those 23 GT cars. It's going to be lit.
Fantastic. Now, Graham, we have a bit more time. I want to ask you about qualifying sessions. That's just minutes away. Tell us, what are we in for these qualifying sessions?
Rapid fire, 10 minutes qualifying sessions, back to back for the GTs, then the Lmp3s, and finally the Lmp2 cars, including this brand new Nielsen car. It's going to be race 1 first, race 2 second, and then in the sequence of the classes. Only 10 minutes on track for each of these cars. It's going to be a big challenge for the drivers out there.
Fantastic. I can't wait for that to happen. As Graham puts it, rapid fire, quick fire. It's going to be fast for everybody. Now, Oliver is up in the commentary booth. I want to ask you, Oliver, you're someone with a lot of experience, right? Oliver, if you can hear me, right? What is the impact on the teams and the drivers now that these sessions are back-to-back? We have qualifying sessions for race 1 and then just a few minutes break, race 2. Share us your insights.
Tyres, get themselves tuned in to the conditions.
There's a lot of new here, a lot of teams and drivers that are new to Dubai Autodrome and to this mix of cars, the LMP2, LMP3 and GT3 cars. New cars too with the BMW M4 GT3. It's beginning to be a thing around the world. We've seen those cars at Daytona. We've seen them here at Dubai, actually.
Yeah, we even had a lap with Nicky Katzberg, an ex-teammate of mine, and did a fine final lap.
That's the Attempt to Audi. This is Attempt to Racing. They've had quite the winter here. This car has been on site both here and across in Bahrain and Yas Marina for some weeks. It is a busy time in the Gulf for motorsport, and this is sort of the end of the winter season in this region, with the 2 races here this weekend, 2 races next weekend at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. We're looking forward to those too. But so we've got the, is that the F4 cars out there at the moment, Ollie, or F3?
I think it's F4 actually at the moment. Yeah, F4. I think an old teammate of mine's got a son racing in that, Charlie Verts.
Do you get that when you get to a certain age?
You certainly do, yes.
But 15 minutes until we go qualifying here. And remember the format here, it is quick fire 10-minute sessions, GTs for race 1, followed by race 2. The same again for LMP3, the same again for LMP2. I think I'm right, Ollie. You're going to get the experience of the day because you're not going to have to be sitting next to me all day. You're going to be going trackside.
Yes, I am. I think a little bit later on I'm going to go out trackside, out towards turn 14, 15 here, the highest point of the racetrack, to have a look at the action really up close and personal. So that should be a lot of fun.
This is the number 12 dynamic Porsche 911 GT3R. Ben Barker, and well-known there, name aboard that car, WC driver for many seasons, of course. Giorgio Roda with WC and ELMS form on his card as well. And Philippe Seeger from Austria completes the effort here in the Italian team that's made a bit of a name for themselves in GT3 Porsches over the last 2 or 3 years.
They've actually got the window net caught in the door there. I think someone slammed the door rather quickly to get away with it, our cameraman, and they've got the window net caught in the door there. That's actually, that window net's supposed to be inside the car.
Inside the car.
Yes.
Otherwise slightly aerodynamically inefficient, but good-looking car as always,
Beautiful.
the 911 GT3R. And this is a team that does prepare these cars extremely well. You can see beautiful blue skies here in Dubai. Motor City rapidly developing this part, the Emirates.
Yes, it certainly is, and I think the conditions this morning are almost perfect for qualifying.
Yep.
You know, it's nice, it's relatively cool. The track temperature will be building nicely. I think we'll be just coming into that window for the Michelin tyres, and the teams will be relishing the chance here to really see what their cars can do. And as a driver, you know, you qualifying, that's one of the moments that makes all the hair stand on the back of your neck, and you really can deliver.
There's Nemo. Nemo's back for the season. This is the name we've given to DKR Engineering's ELMS championship-winning Duqueine. This is the number 2 car that features Laurent Heur, the driver's champion from LMP3. This team will be stepping up to the Le Mans 24 Hours in LMP2 in the coming season, but will serve through the Asian Le Mans Series here in LMP3 and the European Le Mans Series to follow with LMP3 efforts in the European Le Mans Series and Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Yeah, they're a great team. You know, Kendi, who runs DKR, he's been around for a long time. I don't want to say he's old, but I mean he has done a fantastic job with this team.
Well, I'll tell you how long he's been around.
Yeah.
Oliver's actually driven for him. That's
Yes.
how long he's been around. So
I have. He had C6R, but that's the Burj Khalifa in the distance there, isn't it?
tallest building in the world at the moment. This is in downtown Dubai. We can see that on the skyline, and what a skyline Dubai actually has, and increasingly so. Still rapid development, as we say, here in the first of the two United Arab Emirates that we will visit over the next 9 days with the Asia Le Mans Series again this season. It has been a successful format, albeit in extremis. It's great, though, Ollie, to see many more of our friends from Southeast Asia, both in the teams and the organisers here, back with us again for the first time in a couple of years this season, including, of course, Nadia Nash.
Fantastic. It is great to see and have that group back. And now looking at the HRT, Mercedes, AMG GT3, and this car has been running very quickly in practice and free practice. It's been near the top of the timesheets, and I see these guys as being one of the really strong contenders for the victory in GT.
HRT is the Haupt racing team. It is Hubert Haupt is the bronze driver aboard this car. Rory Penton, we've seen in the Asia Le Mans Series Lmp3 cars before, and going very quickly. Valeney has raced here in LMP2, was in a Mercedes AMG for the DTM last year, and was named on the roster of official AMG drivers for 2022 yesterday, together with another of the drivers we have here this weekend in the other AMG, Michael Grenier from Canada. Another guy who's been elevated to factory status.
The Mercedes has been extremely strong here in this championship, as well as all the championships around the world. They've sold many, many cars, and it seems to be a really go-to car for a strong effort, strong car.
One of the things it was good to see last season, though, Ollie, and I'm sure you remember this, is that we saw that mixed grid of GT3 cars, but the strengths and weaknesses ebbed and flowed depending on whether or not we were here or at Yas Marina. So that's something else to look forward to. This is one of our LMP2 cars. This is high-class racing. Team fresh from a run at the Rolex 24 at Daytona just a couple of weekends ago. Team from Denmark, based in Barcelona, and the now very familiar and potent Oreca 07. Get a good look inside the cockpit there. Lots of buttons to press. Just press the right ones. That is the fabulous 4.2-litre Gibson engine. That thing really sings, and it sings here in particular. Built at Repton in the UK. That is the standard engine for all LMP2s worldwide. And the teams buy hours on those engines before they're sent back for a rebuild. So these will be fresh engines for the Asia Le Mans Series this year in all of the four LMP2 cars that will contest the class, and indeed look for that auto invitation to the Le Mans 24 Hours. High-class racing, been around for a while. One make racing with Renaults, then into LMP2 just a couple of years ago. Have contested the FIWEC, the European Le Mans Series, of course, now here in the Asia Le Mans Series, and now racing in North America as well. So a team with no little ambition. We will be seeing them in Europe, albeit not under the high-class racing name. They'll be looking after the Team Thor Icelandic flagged LMP3 effort in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. It is 9 minutes now, 9 minutes, just about enough time if you're watching on an unfavourable time zone to go and make yourself a much-needed cup of coffee this morning. It is a beautiful morning, as Oliver said. Here you can just see the UAE flag there just flickering away in the breeze. Absolutely perfect conditions for qualifying, which is usually the commentator's curse for a rain cloud appearing, but I think that's highly unlikely.
It certainly looks it, Graham. Very unlikely. Looking at the long-range weather forecast. Oh, but here we are. This is the Optimum Motorsport. Andrew Watson, Joe Osborne, and Nick Moss. And Joe's actually a local to me, back at home in the UK. I have to believe he's got his family out here with him for this weekend. So it's nice to him to have his family here. And Nick Moss actually was a chap that I've raced against, I believe, in karting.
So he must be at least 35.
Gotta be.
There you go. Great stuff with Optimum Motorsport, based in Wakefield. These cars will be on track very soon, but we're going to go down now and have a look at what happens as we get ready to set up for these races with a piece on the formation lap.
Endurance races like the ones we have here at the Asian Le Mans Series have a different start procedure to other motorsports. We have what is called a rolling start, and one person who I know knows so much about it, probably done it a couple hundred times, is our commentator, Oliver Gavin.
Well, thanks, Nadia. Back in the old days, races like the Le Mans 24 Hours were started with drivers running to their cars. But nowadays, there's an awful lot more structure. Since 1970, drivers must have all their safety equipment secured, and they must be tightly belted into their seat before they can move off from the grid. Once the field is rolling, they form up behind the M4 pace car to start the formation lap. This is an important lap for drivers to prepare the car, warming tyres, brakes, and preparing themselves mentally for the rolling start. Once the pack reaches turn 12, our race director, Eduardo Freitas, will call teams over the radio to make sure they are in that 2x2 formation. At pit lane entry, the pace car peels off, and responsibility falls to the pole position driver to lead the pack to the green. Once the signal is given, the race starts as they cross the start line.
Wow, now that we know how the race starts, can't wait to find out how it's going to end.
And great stuff there from Ollie and Nadia, and you ran back very quickly there and changed your shirt on the way. That was pretty impressive, Ollie. Great stuff. But it is a very different form of racing, and if you're joining us with the Asia Le Mans Series for your first taste of endurance racing, it's 3 classes. In fact, 4 classes if you want to include the GT AM cars. So pick a car, have a look at an entry list online or the spotters guide that's there online through all your social media resources. Have a look at a team, a car, a colour scheme, a driver that you like, follow a car in each and you will love it. This is the number 22 car down in pit lane. This is the W10 by Rinaldi Racing team this time, a Duqueine LMP3 car. Again, a car with a spec powertrain. This is a Nissan V8 engine, 5.6 litres with an X-Track gearbox. All of those powertrains prepared by Orica in France, and whether or not it's Duqueine, a Ligier or a Ginetta as we've got here on the grid, they will all have the very same power plants. It's a carbon tub with a steel roll cage and a really cost-effective entry level into endurance racing on the world stage. You can see there, Ollie, the updated safety equipment, including that crash bar in the middle of the car, introduced with the 2020 regulations. That's what people are buying now in endurance racing. It's not just the pace, is it? It is the assurance of really, truly modern safety standards.
Absolutely, and this is something that the FIA and the ACO and IMSA also in the United States have really pushed forward. You know, safety is super important and it's constantly evolving. And it's constantly taking those steps forward, which is super important. Everybody in racing wants to see those safety measures to be improved. But we're now onto the Rinaldi 488 Ferrari, and this is David Perel and David Rigon. And
Rina Mastronardi,
yes.
Who will, by the way, drivers here will race with their 2021 driver rankings, because this is the 2021-22 Asia Le Mans Series. So Rino will still be racing as a bronze, although he's been elevated to silver. And there's not many fewer buttons aboard a GT car, is there? There's a lot for a driver to manage in a race. Tell us a little bit about that.
There's so much to look at now inside a cockpit, and there's so much to also manage in terms of or the ability for the driver to manage the car's performance and look after everything. You know, whether that's fuel management, tyre management, whether that's communication to the team, whether that's trying to manage some little bits of performance here and there, looking after your tyres throughout a stint, looking after that fuel throughout a stint, trying to maybe push for that extra lap of longevity, looking at fuel windows. You know, there's so much that a driver can actually do from inside the car and manage from inside the car. It's super, super important to do.
So GT cars coming out on the pit apron. It's about just over 3.5 minutes till track action starts. Remember, 10-minute sessions for the GT3 cars, 23 of those cars to join. And there we've got the TF Sport, the number 95 car. This is a squad we'll see in the GT3 machinery here in the Asia Le Mans Series. They'll move to GTE for the European Le Mans Series to come. This beautiful number 69 Oman racing car, that purple chromed finish, and that is
quality street, isn't it?
It's a little bit like a quality street, and there's something sweet inside there. That's not to say Armand Delhasi is anything other than the professional man that he particularly is. That wrap, not cheap, is it?
Really?
No, that wrap, I think, is something like 10 times the kind of cost that you get for a kind of flat colour. Something like, am I right? I think it's $60 per square metre for that thing. This is the 55 car we've just seen in the Rinaldi garage, so it's a GT3 and an Lmp3 car for Rinaldi this year in the Asia Le Mans Series. So 23 cars to come, 10 minutes to set a lap time. What's the pressure like in a session like that, Ollie?
Well, it certainly builds. You know, it's certainly something that every driver sort of, some drivers really love it. They really enjoy that extra little bit of pressure and that focus that they get. But others also maybe just shy away slightly and are maybe prone to the odd mistake here and there. But like I say, it's a moment that to really relish as a driver, to get out there, have the circuit almost to yourself, and really lay everything down that you've been learning over these last couple of days. You know, just that new set of Michelin tyres, low fuel. You know, the car really finely tuned for that qualifying session, and it's that one moment that you get to really lay it on the line.
We're going to stop Ollie from talking there because his mouth is watering and it's beginning to affect the mask. But yeah, I think it's certainly fair to say the pro drivers in particular thoroughly enjoy the process of qualifying when you've got that light car on new tyres and a relatively uncrowded track in this kind of session, with the LMP cars not a factor, of course, in qualifying it, but the only time in the Asian Le Mans Series those cars will be running together as a single class for an extended period of time. It can be interesting to see how this one actually pans out. I'm looking forward to it. We're a minute and a half from go time. If you're with us and are repeat viewers of the Asia Le Mans Series, you are very welcome indeed. It's great to have you back. It's great too that we're going to be seeing some fans trackside here in Dubai and again in Abu Dhabi next weekend. But you're particularly welcome if you're joining us from around the world, as we know you did last year in record numbers. I'm sure they're going to bust that one again this time around. I
think it's part of the qualifying session that all drivers are going to have to be a little bit aware of is the dreaded track limits. You know, that is certainly something that Eduardo Freitas would have brought up in the drivers' briefing, and he will certainly be looking at particular corners where there is a big advantage to gain. So it's certainly something that the team managers are going to be talking to their drivers about, to make sure that they really look after those situations. Don't execute that fantastic lap where it's all strung it all together, and then you come to turn 15, run over the curb on the exit there, and use too much road. You get pinged, you lose your lap. Got to do it all again. So you know, it's super important to really nail that.
5 seconds until the 10-second count from Eduardo Freitas, which I don't think we're going to hear, but the teams most certainly will. They're amongst the 10 most famous seconds in world motorsport now, with the almost iconic voice of our race director, Eduardo Freitas. He has indeed made it very clear what he expects of the teams and the drivers for track limits. And we are about to go green for this session.
Yes, we're looking like it's...
And there is the green flag.
So we're just waiting for everybody to get going.
There we go.
And the Cox Racing car jumps out onto track. And so we're coming through turn 1 here, just getting everything warmed up nice and gently, just making sure you're bringing the brakes and the tyres, getting yourself mentally prepared for the start of this qualifying lap. We're just waiting for our timing screens to update. But winding the way down here through into turn 5 and 6. And this is the dynamic team number 12, Porsche GT3 RS. And is that the YC Panda car, the number 66. I've got to make sure I don't call it the Kung Fu Panda car. Don't do that. Okay.
Don't do that. No.
Okay. And again, it's just coming through to turn 7. Again, just trying to stay off all of those exit curves if you can, particularly when the tyres are low on pressure. That's when you can do a little bit, these microscopic bits of damage to the carcass of the tyre, which then can lead to other smaller failures inside the tyre. So, you know, the manufacturers, the tyre manufacturer really talks to you about just looking after the tyre and bringing it up nice and gently, making sure not to go too aggressively on this outlap. Up into turn 10, bumpy brake zone there. Got to be a little bit careful of that, but it's one of the best spots on the track to overtake. You notice the drivers, as they come off of turn 10, they're keeping well to the right-hand side to get that shot into the left-hander, and winding the speed through there, and then on the brakes hard again into turn 12. They do take a lot of apex curb here. It's bumpy, but traction's a real issue here, and you've got to make sure that you've got the car nicely lined up. TC in the GT cars is certainly something that they really lean on very heavily. Coming down into 14 now, and this is banked corner. You can really throw the car in there. The banking helps to catch it, but then off the corner, you've got to make sure you're very close to the left-hand side to then get this shot through 15. Track limits there is going to be an area that Eduardo is really going to be on very, very hard. Just starting the qualifying lap now.
It's locally based Canadian driver Basho Mardini aboard the number 66 car. It's the GT Am YC Panda Audi. The number 6 car there from Lmp3 Racing Team. Just having a quick look who is aboard that car. We'll wait and see what the timing screens can tell us about who's aboard that car. Also out there, Ben Barker is out in the number 12 dynamic Porsche. It is Nicky Katzberg, your old teammate, Ollie, in the 34, the Cat, in the Volkenhorst BMW M4 GT3, brand new car to that team, of course. Henry Volkenhorst, by the way, in the GT Am car, the 35 car from the same team. It's Peter Cox, the old warhorse, and part of a not unique but very unusual father-daughter pairing in the Salazar by Cox Racing number 48 Porsche. So Peter is out in that car. Garage 59 is Nikolai Kjærgaard in the number 59 McLaren. Basha Mardini, we've already gone through there. It is Alex Aka, the team principal, team owner of Attempto Racing in the other Audi, the number 96 Attempto car. And out they come. Johnny Adam is out there, so we're going to get some quick times on the 95 Aston Martin. Robert Renauer, champion last year, of course, here. He's out in the number 91 Herbeth Motorsport car. That one shared with twin brother Alfred and their regular co-driver Ralph Pern. Marvin Kirchhoffer in the 88 Garage 59 McLaren, so another car that is going to be mightily quick.
We're watching
in this session.
David Rigon here in the 55 Rinaldi car. Had a bit of a problem in one of the free practice sessions yesterday. I think it was the morning one, but it looks like it's running fine now. They've got it all back up and running. And David Rigon, another one of the superstars for Ferrari. That's really great talent here this weekend in the Asian Le Mans Series. It's pretty staggering to see, you know, the depth of talent that we've got here in the GT class, and right throughout the series.
Well, multiple factory drivers, as we were saying earlier in the programme, Ollie, two of whom were named factory drivers just yesterday with Arjen Maini and Michael Grenier. There are, I think it's something like a dozen or so factory drivers. Nicky Katzberg we've mentioned, Johnny Adam we've mentioned, Alessandro Pierre Guidi here, who is a reigning world champion.
Extraordinary.
Absolutely great stuff.
It's brilliant to see.
So we're waiting for the first very quick laps to come through.
Attempto car just coming across the line there.
First through, Ben Barker leads the way. It's 156.351 from the tall Englishman in the number 12 Dynamic car, and it's a Porsche 1-2 because less than a tenth back it is Robert Renauer in that 91 Herbeth Motorsport car. Third quickest at the moment is the Attempto Racing number 96. So it's Porsche, Audi at the moment. We're already halfway through this session.
Exactly, and you know, the Porsche's been very quick here throughout yesterday, and it was very quick here last year, winning both races.
Indeed.
So it's going to be very strong.
Very strong, tough to beat. They've got a lot of mileage here. They're regular runners in the 24-hour race that took place just last month, although they did not have a good run there. Wrote off two cars, one a luckless accident that ended up with their primary car, a multiple race-winning car, on its roof up at turn 1, turn 2.
That's generally not good.
It generally is not the way you want to start or finish a race.
But we are watching Ben Barker here, and then I'm sure he's on another quick lap. You know, usually it's that first, second, or third time lap that you really get the best from the Michelin tyres.
But it's another Ben Barnicoat that goes to the top in the Inception Racing McLaren in the 155.224. Now Klaus Backler in the purple number 33 Herbeth Motorsport car goes second with a 155.
Across the line in the number 6 car. I'm sure that's going to get close towards the top, Arjen Maini. Joe
Osborne, it's a 1-2 for the Inception and Optimum team at the moment in the McLarens. 155.2 for Ben Barnicoat, 155.7 for Joe Osborne. Klaus Backler third now, Nicky Katzberg fourth. Marco Seefried is briefly up into fifth, but Johnny Adam pops up into fourth.
So Joe Osborne coming through the turns 3, 4 and 5. He's on another quick lap.
Laps being deleted here, and lost laps for the number 96 and the number 66 car early in this session. So Oman Racing, Charlie Eastwood pops up. It is McLaren, Aston Martin, McLaren, then the Mercedes AMG of Michael Grenier. So Ben Barnicoat, Charlie Eastwood, Joe Osborne, Michael Grenier, Klaus Backler, Tom Gamble now in the D-Station car. Another repeat performer in the Asia Le Mans Series D-Station Racing. Axel Jeffries, though, race winner here last year, and challenge for the title in the GPX Porsche. He's in the Kessel Ferrari. Briefly goes second with a 155.6, but that time is bettered by Vincent Abril, ex-Bentley factory driver, then with Mercedes AMG, now in an AF Corsa Porsche, being coached his teammate by none other than Stefano Telli, the 1998 Le Mans winner. But Vincent Abril from Monaco, in the 17 AF Corsa car, goes second. So it's a 10th and a half now, but no one yet has gone by Ben Barnicoat. Is Axel Jeffries going to have a crack at it here? He's gone purple in sector 1 with under 2 minutes to go in this session.
Yeah, Ben was very close there to improving his lap, but not quite. And,
he has just by a few hundredths. It was a 155.224. It's now 155.217. That's consistency.
It is. It's. I could see that the way that he was drifting the car into some of the corners, that he was getting the absolute maximum from the car. Great to see a driver really get the absolute limit from the tyres, the car, delivering. That's fantastic.
Charlie Eastwood is on a quick one. Axel Jeffries is on a very quick one. Both of those men at the moment on course to take that pole position from Ben Barnicoat. Michael Grenier goes second. It's 0.121 of a second now. First to second place on the order. Under a minute to go. As the 17 car continues around. This is the APM Monaco-backed AF Corsa car, the 17 car, the blue and yellow Ferrari. Barnicoat is not going to improve on this lap, but others might.
I think that he's used his tyres. That's it. He's done.
Yeah. So Vincent Abril could still make it here. Axel Jeffries could still make it. They're both on quick laps. Jeffries doesn't quite do it. It's 16 thousandths of a second is the gap to pole position from Axel Jeffries. Ben Barnicoat from Axel Jeffries. And Vincent Abril, it is the same time. It's 155.217. The same time to the thousandth is delivered by Vincent Abril. It is McLaren from Ferrari. From Ferrari, the top 3 separated by 0.016 of a second. The top 2 separated by nothing whatsoever. And if you're not familiar with the rules of motorsport, as the checkered flag comes out, Ben Barnicoat holds pole position by dint of making that lap time first.
Extraordinary performance.
That is amazing.
Fantastic. Great to see.
Just how irritated is Vincent Abril going to be?
He'll be thinking back that lap. Where can I improve? Just snuck that last thousandth of a second.
Amazing stuff. So it's Inception Racing, cross the line for the checkered flag, and at the moment we wait till all these cars complete their qualifying laps. Ben Barnicoat with an early time in this session, 155.217. That time matched just moments ago by Vincent Abril, who will not improve on that time. He's left it off on this lap. Axel Jeffries still on quite a quick lap at the moment, but don't think ultimately on pole position pace. But he's, well, like I say, 16 thousandths of a second away. There's nothing there. It's a 10th and a bit for Michael Grenier at the moment on the second row of the GT grid, and the number 20 SPS Automotive Performance car. That is the black Mercedes-AMG. Davide Rigon, great to see him back on form after a nasty incident at the Spa 24 Hours last year. Counted him out for much of the season. He is 5th on this grid for Rinaldi Racing and doesn't look like he's going to improve on this lap either. He's not quite crossed the line yet. Oman Racing, first the Aston Martins, and Charlie Eastwood, 6th quickest. Tom Gamble, the 2nd the Aston Martins. The D-Station 77 car is 7th. 8th is Alessandro Pierguidi. That's a mark of the quality here. The guys ahead have beaten the world champion in the number 51 AF Corsa car. That's the red car with the heritage numbers on it. 9th place is the 74 Kessel Racing Ferrari with Mikkel Jensen. He'll be a Peugeot hypercar driver later this year. And Joe Osborne, who was 2nd in this session, drops down the order to 10th. The gap is just over half a second.
Again, that just shows the competition here in GT.
Amazing.
It's amazing. It's a brilliant qualifying session to watch there. Great to see everybody just laying it out there and getting the most from their machinery. And I think we've got another one coming up just very, very shortly. Having another 10 minutes of qualifying. So it'll just be back to the pits.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah, very quick turnaround. Refresh. New set of Michelin tyres on. And get everybody going again. It's been great to see, and certainly it was a phenomenal qualifying session. Really great action out there.
Yeah, we'd need to find out what's happened with the number 35 Volkenhorst car. I suspect that was simply just lost laps to track limits, because Henry Volkenhorst did complete 4 laps.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of guys were getting pinged at turn 6, turn 9, turn 16. They seem to be the common areas for offending, and yeah, this circuit layout and the way that the curbs work here, it is an area that the race director Eduardo Freitas will be on it, and you know, it's a frustration for the drivers and for the teams,
Well,
but they're the rules.
There's a quick look at the number 66 YC Panda car. You've been in drivers' briefings with Eduardo. He's never anything other than clear as to what he expects, is he?
Absolutely. I mean, he is completely down the line. He never leaves you in any doubt. You know, so that's you know, that's what you want. You know, as a driver, you want to be able to know exactly where. There's no grey area. You know, it's black and white. And I'm sure that Eduardo's just having a little bit of a look at what some of the drivers have been doing out there on track.
So there you go. I want to say historic
car.
finish to that qualifying session. We do get match times. It's not often for a pole position, but it's happened here. 1:55.217 between the Inception racing car, this car, the team with one of their other cars. Had a great run at Daytona just a couple of weeks ago, led the race there, and will be a full season car in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. But it's part of an amazing season from Inception that they will be doing this season with the Asia Le Mans Series. They're going to the WEC with a Project One Porsche, and they're going to be doing the GT World Challenge with the McLaren as well.
They are, you know, a first-class team and a great organisation. And they had a very strong run last year here in the Asia Le Mans Series. They were very competitive, I seem to remember, at Yas Marina. Yep. And they've come here really well prepared, all guns blazing. I think that those guys are really nailed on. I was speaking to the McLaren Motorsport manager and boss, Ian Morgan,
another one that you used to race with.
A man that I used to race with was my engineer all the way back in 1995. Ian's a fantastic man and brilliant job there at McLaren. And he was saying that, you know, later into the race, they really feel that they're going to be able to stretch the legs of the McLaren, and they feel that their long-run pace is going to be very, very strong. So they're pretty confident for the race, and they weren't necessarily thinking that they're going to be able to. They're shooting for pole position.
Well, we're already into the second 10-minute session. We'll see who brings the cars out this time. Absolutely right, Ian Morgan, responsible for the GT4 and GT3 cars produced by McLaren Motorsport. Out comes the Solarsound 48, the Cox Racing BMW, that's a Porsche. Of course it is, Graham.
I'd say that's a Porsche.
That is a Porsche. Yeah. It's Peter Cox back out again for this session.
He likes getting out early, doesn't he? He's not
does.
going to mess around. He's just straight out, gets on with it.
Yep. He'll be tailing Stephanie Cox. So this is how you do it. And Stephanie, by the way, will be part of the Formula One scene this season, part of a new look commentary team in the Netherlands, which, of course, Formula One's fairly popular there just now.
Yeah, I'd say
so she's going to be quite a profile,
I would say.
And Stephanie, by the way, has raced in the Asia Le Mans Series before, in the very first race for the effort that became the Richard Mille Racing Team. It was a somewhat difficult start in Shanghai with freighting difficulties, but part of an all-female team there. And it's great to see her back in a GT car, and a GT car with her dad. That's a great storyline.
Oh, it's brilliant. Great to see. Peter's a wonderful guy. A lot of time for Peter. Driven with him many times.
Alessandro Pierguidi is back out this session, but we've got some changes elsewhere. It's Mario van Berlen now in the number 35 Vulcan horse car. Inception Racing, unsurprisingly, Ben Barnicoat's coming out this one too. Michael Grenier repeats as well. It's Nikolai Kiergaard in the 59 car, and YC Panda switches to Edgar Lau. Charlie Eastwood back out in the Optimum Racing.
Watching the guys come out of the pit lane there, they're all thinking about track position. Where am I going to place myself? I need to get that nice bit of open road in front of me. So it's always on this lap, this out lap, where you're just kind of like wrestling with the other drivers around you, trying to carve out a bit of space for yourself. With 23 cars on the track, it does get a little bit congested. So you wanted that nice, clean air, nice open road in front of you to make sure that you can execute. And
first lap deleted is actually on the out lap. That's not going to trouble Attempto Racing too much. It's Alex Acker again out in that car. But we can call the drivers now. It is Ben Barnicoat in the number 7, Ben Barker again in the 12, Vincent Abril in the 17 again, Michael Grenier, as we said, in the 20 SBS Automotive car. Klaus Bachler repeats in the 33 car. 34 is again in the hands of Nicky the Cat Katzberg. Mario van Berlen in the sister 35 car, the GT3 AM car. Optimum 42 McLaren in the hands of Joe Osborne. Peter Cox in the 48 Porsche. Alessandro Pierguidi in the 51 AF Corsa car. Rinaldi Racing in the hands of Davide Rigon, Alessandro's fellow factory driver. Axel Jeffries in the 57 Kessel car. Nicolas Kiergaard in the 59 Garage 59 car. Edgar Lau in the YC Panda Audi. Oman Racing's 69 Aston Martin in the hands of Charlie Eastwood. Mikkel Jensen again in the 74 Kessel Racing car. Tom Gamble in the D-Station Racing Aston Martin. It's Marvin Kirchhofer, another very fast young man, in the 88 Garage 59 McLaren. Robert Renauer in the Herbeth Motorsport 91. TF Sport put Johnny Adam back out again for another go at this in the 95. The red Aston Martin 96 Attempto car, Alex Acker, and Marco Seefried completes the lineup of these 23 GT3 cars in the Herbeth Motorsport number 99.
It's the Marvin Kirchhofer there in the Garage 59 car coming through turn 1 and turn 2. It did a little bit of an unusual thing. He braked just before the final corner coming on to start this lap, and he overslowed the car a lot to give himself some room to the Inception car in front, which was a curious thing to do. It would have broken his rhythm somewhat, so a curious thing to do to start a qualifying lap.
It's going to be interesting to see the form of Garage 59. They've just switched from Aston Martin, we're just looking now at the Oman Racing car, switched from these cars to the McLarens in the off-season. In fact, the Aston Martins were initially listed for this championship. The switch was made quickly, but they've not had much of a chance to get track time before
this
coming
really has been a shakedown for them, hasn't it, the last couple of days?
It's going to be a real interesting comparison with the Optimum and the Inception cars, who were here last year, and we're already seeing better pace from that team.
Yeah, they're going to be,
with the benefit of a year's experience.
Absolutely, just that little bit further up the road, and it's going to take them maybe this weekend for the Garage 59 boys to get themselves on track with the McLaren.
5.5 minutes to go. We've just got a very few cars who've completed a flying lap so far, and they're not representative times, but we'll call it because they'll like us to do so. That's it was briefly Peter Cox at the top of the times of 1:58.933, but immediately now we're beginning to get more representative times, 2 laps into the 1:57s. Marcus Seefried ahead of Tom Gamble, Herbeth Motorsport 99 ahead of the 77 D station, but to the top of the times in the 1:56s, 1:56.134, it's Johnny Adam in the TF Sport and number 95 car. So under 5 minutes to go, and we're starting to see purple sectors appear. Vincent Abriel in sector 1, Michael Grenier in sector 2. Quick times coming, but Johnny Adams is the time to beat right now.
Just looking to see where Ben Barnicoat is. He's now down in P7, and he's seems like he's building a little bit slower than he was in the previous session. Johnny Adam is still P1. Charlie Eastwood he was P2, but he's just been pushed down to P3 by Michael Grenier.
Another tiny gap there, 13 thousandths per second between Johnny Adam and Michael Grenier.
Just watching Johnny Adam come into turn 10. You can see the bumps there, the way the front of the car was bouncing. Coming off of there, trying to keep it tight and over to the right to line himself up for the left-hander. You know, really looking to work the car hard. Just a little bit of exit curb. Again, lining the car up nicely for 12. Plenty of apex curb. You see the front of the car just bounce over the bumps there and using all of that exit curb. Traction's a big scrabble as you come off of turn 12.
Edgar Lau is being reported to the stewards for constant abuse of track limits, so that will be a nasty surprise from an envelope, I'm sure, after this session. Johnny Adam, quicker again here on the middle sector. Can he improve his 1:56.134 with 3.5 minutes of this session to go? The answer is he can, but will he? Coming to complete the lap as we watch the red Aston Martin. There is the 95 car, new livery for the car this year, and crosses the line. 1:56.134 becomes a 1:55.883, so pulls out a quarter of a second advantage on Grenier.
That's impressive.
Mikkel Jensen looking quick at the moment in the number 74 Kessel Racing car. He's at the moment down in 9th position, but a purple first sector for the Rapid Dane.
Yeah, it's holding up nicely now.
There goes Barnicoat. He goes up to second. It's 0.05 of a second off, 1:55.933. So just Johnny Adam and Ben Barnicoat at the moment under 1:56, but others looking like they've got the potential to do so and do so quickly. They've got 2.5 minutes to achieve that.
Yep. And Marvin Kirchhofer coming through turns 2 and 3. Looking to load the McLaren 720S. Quite a lot of curb there at the apex. That would have upset the car somewhat. And it's a very technical part of the racetrack. We're going to see multi-class racing is going to be quite a challenge there when everybody's on track during the race later on today. It's the BMW M4 coming down into turn 1 and the Porsche GT3R.
This is the car, Klaus Backlund, the winner of this car, but shared by Yifei, our overall champion last year, of course, in the G-Drive by APR Orica.
Nico Jensen goes P2 by only, what, 3 thousandths of a second.
So we had identical times last session. 3 thousandths of a second is the gap in this session, and the top 4 separated by under a tenth of a second. That's close.
It is very close.
That's remarkable.
Watching Ben Barnicoat coming into turn 12 here. Is he on another quick lap now? I think he's just dropped off a little.
Not far. It's about a tenth, isn't it?
Oh, he is maybe
well,
still
actually,
up.
you know what? He's up on the pole time at the moment.
He is.
Just down, he's dropped some time in the second sector.
See if he can pull it back through turn 14 here, using all the banking there.
Mikkel Jensen, apologies. Mikkel Jensen on a very quick lap. A very quick first sector from Jensen. Was here last year with Kessel Racing in the car guy liveried effort. Back this year in a rather more red and white version of the Kessel livery.
Yep. Ben Barnicoat using all of the racetrack there available, coming off of turn 16, and he's really got himself in a purple patch here. Ben Barnicoat, he's fantastic performance in Daytona 24 Hours for Lexus.
Yep, now a Lexus factory driver in North America.
He's going to be him and Jack Hawksworth in that Lexus effort are going to be in the sprint races. They're going to be extremely strong.
Absolutely, and it's another example of the depth of talent we've got here. Just looking down.
D-Station car. Is that Tom Gamble in the car?
It is Tom.
Another fine British talent.
Well, the top 3 drivers in this session so far, with 12 seconds left on the clock, all factory drivers. The next guy up is an ex-factory driver, and it's littered with talent all the way down. As time begins to expire here and goes to checkered flag now, so it is the laps they're on, and it's Johnny Adam, and Mikkel Jensen is not going to improve.
No.
He's crossed the line, so he's not going to be on pole position. So at the moment, the gap, 3 thousandths of a second. So the cumulative gap between the 2 top cars in both sessions is 3 thousandths of a second.
Extraordinary. But
at the moment,
the depth in talent here on show in the GT class is phenomenal.
Good lap on the final lap of the session from Arjun Maini in the Hap Racing Team car. He goes 8th in number 6 car with an improvement on his lap. It's a 156.1. The top 9 here separated by 1/4 of a second.
Yeah, Johnny didn't need to finish that last lap. Wasn't good enough, but it wasn't good enough to improve on his pole lap. But he's going to be very satisfied with that to get the pole position here for the race 2 on Sunday.
Yep, I'm looking to see if anybody can do anything about that. I think the answer is that they can't. It does look to me like it's TF Sport and Aston Martin that will take pole position for Sunday's race 2, and that is a change from the provisional calendar, remember, with a change in the weekend here in the UAE to align the business hours here more with their major markets they do business with. So 1 race today, 1 race tomorrow into darkness. And that's going to be a challenge for the drivers and for the commentators.
Indeed. Fist bumps all around there from Johnny as he gets out of the car with all the crew there at TF Sport.
They'll be delighted with that one.
Really great team.
Just looking to see if anybody can actually pull anything out the bag right at the end here. Johnny Eastwood with a good lap at the end there in the Oman Racing car to claim a top 10 position.
But it does seem to be the usual suspects at the top there, doesn't it? With Johnny Adam, Mikkel Jensen, Ben Barnicoat, Vincent Abril, Axel Jeffries, Alexander Puerguidi, David Rigon, Arjun Maini. I mean, the list of talent is really impressive. Here we've got Johnny with his pole position shot.
Yep, and
fist in the air. Great to see.
But, and it goes quiet again. It's going to be LMP3 cars next up, and the big rumbling 5.6 litre Nissan V8s with their very familiar soundtrack to anybody that watches the endurance racing. So that's it for GT qualifying. It could barely have been closer, could it? So to remind anybody that maybe missed the end of the first 10-minute session, it was Ben Barnicoat in the Inception Racing McLaren that set pole position, an identical time to the Challenger car there. And then in this session, 3 thousandths of a second was the gap between the two cars. Johnny Adam from Mikkel Jensen at the end, the 95 TF Sport Aston Martin taking pole position for Sunday's race in this 23-car grid for GT3 cars, a record here in the Asian Le Mans Series. So it said at the top of the show, take a look at the timing screens that are available free and live on the Asian Le Mans Series website, and pick a car, pick two. It really was perfect conditions there, Ollie.
Yeah, it certainly was. You know, when you look at it, and this is exactly what a race driver wants. You know, relatively cool conditions, clear, sunny, nice bit of open road in front of you, and you can get out there and really attack.
One of the things I've learned in covering sports cars as a journalist for, what, 20 years?
You've actually learned something.
I did, yeah. It was a while ago. It's probably not best to go and speak to Ben Barnicoat and ask the question, where did you lose the 500th of a second? So Ben Barnicoat, 500th of a second away from claiming a double pole position. You could look at it that way, but extraordinary stuff from so many of these drivers. This is a challenging racetrack. I mean, we keep talking about how slippery it can be. They do go and sweep this track in the morning before track action starts. But with a bit of a breeze, there will be dust and sand in the air. We are effectively in the middle of a desert here.
Yeah, we are. But you'll also see that certain cars will have certain strengths in certain parts of the racetrack and weaknesses in others. And being able to balance all that out and get these times so close, that's impressive to see. It certainly looks like the BOP is right there for everybody. The balance of performance, which is something that every manufacturer has to adhere to, and it's something with modern sports car racing now with such different layouts. What we've got, flat six, straight six, we've got V8, V10, all these different engine
turbo engines, normally aspirated engines.
You know, front, mid, rear engine, so all these different layouts in the GT class. So that's the need for this balance of performance, and it's something that drivers get frustrated about, team managers get frustrated about, manufacturers get frustrated about, but it is the way of modern sports car racing to try and make a level playing field for everybody to be competitive and be running at the front.
And if you're an aficionado of GT3 racing, what you will know, particularly if you've had the opportunity, and obviously not in the last year or so, to be trackside at one of these races, is it's the soundtrack of GT3 racing, where, because, as Ollie quite rightly says, with that variety, massive variety of motive power available to these cars, you can tell which car's passing. It's great stuff. So Johnny Adam is going to be on pole position for TF Sports. That's another tick in the box for Tom Ferrier's team in what has been an amazing recent history from the team from the UK, with multiple titles in multiple championships and climbing from, well, effectively club and national level racing to the world stage, and doing so very impressively with GT4, GT3, GTE, and now Lmp3 in the European Le Mans Series Racing Team Turkey. Yeah, that is a long, hard road to take.
It is. Tom's done a fantastic job. He's got such a refreshing approach. It's very straightforward and very common sense approach to his racing. And he's got a great team of people around him. And it seems that it's always whenever you pop into the garage, it's always a very happy environment.
Yes.
And very positive.
And some very familiar faces. Many of those team members have been with him for a long time, and they've taken that journey with him, and they've developed the skill sets with him, and that's always great to see. A real family atmosphere at TF Sport. Mikkel Jensen, second on the grid for Sunday's race in the Kessel Racing team. And Kessel Racing, one of the banner teams for Ferrari GT teams, Swiss team, and very much part of the scene here. They're another team, though, has been coming late to the GTE scene, but they've had years of experience. In fact, used to build the GT3 cars back in the day. But Kessel Racing, the number 74 car, will be a front row starter on this 23-car grid in Sunday's race. So Saturday race grid established, 20 minutes ago. Sunday's race grid established here by that 10-minute session that you've just seen. I'm just looking to see whether or not we've got any kind of changes to this. We've had a few laps deleted, but they're not significant ones. We have about 12 or 13 minutes until we get qualifying underway for Saturday's race for Lmp3. So again, if you are around the world at a time of the day where a refreshing warm beverage is required this time of the day, go and get one now before the action starts.
Is somebody going to bring one in for us?
That would be nice, wouldn't it? But you know what? No, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, doesn't it?
No, they've locked the door, so we can't leave.
On our own.
So we've got you've got 20 minutes more of track action to commentate on before you get the opportunity to do what I know thousands, millions of people would love to be doing, and go stand trackside, very close indeed, when the LMP2 cars go out a little later. That's going to be fun.
Yes, that will be a lot of fun, getting up close and personal to the cars and the track, and getting to see and also listen to that soundtrack of the Gibson engine cars roaring by. And it's a fantastic racetrack here at the Dubai Autodrome, and it's certainly got an awful lot of elevation change and lots of challenging aspects to it.
It's going to be interesting to see, by the way, the ebb and flow from this year, from last year to this year. Last year, the Porsches were dominant here in qualifying for that Sunday race. None of them made the top 10. The Aston Martins, the McLarens were quick. The Ferraris, if I'm just looking down to look where the makes were, it's an Aston from a Ferrari from a McLaren, then 4 Ferraris in the order before the 2 Mercedes AMG GT3s. That's the top 9, with another Aston Martin in 10th position. The Porsches, the BMWs and the Audis out of the top 10 positions at the moment. So will we see what we saw last year, and that turning around again when we get to Yas Marina? And remember, that's the other exciting part here, is it's a new Yas Marina. It's a different Yas Marina. So there's going to be different aspects of that, with 3 of the corners pretty radically reworked through the summer period before winter racing started again. It'll be our first chance with the Asian Le Mans Series, others have raced there, to take a look at track level. I know you're going to be out there with a camera taking a look at those turns, including a pretty banked turn now. Out at the back by the support pit lane.
Yes, it is, and you know, that's going to be certainly something that we're going to be out there really focusing on. But it is certainly going to be a challenge, and a nice challenge, and certainly sort of seeing how we go from Dubai and into Yas Marina in terms of BOP, and whether that's going to change in the GT class and any changes with that.
I mean, what I'm hearing from the teams here is they're enjoying this format thoroughly. And so we've got race 1. We saw McLaren dominant here with Ben Barnicoat, and this Inception Racing team, as we said, have got a hugely challenging season ahead, with full season around the world with the FIWC, in IMSA's WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, GT World Challenge Europe, and here in the Asian Le Mans Series. Well, we can't get hold of Ben Barnicoat. We can do almost as well, because the other driver that's going to be a big part of all of those is going to be Ollie Milroy. And Ollie is talking to Nadia in the Inception garage right now.
Yes, exactly, because Ben Barnicoat is off to scrutineering, but we managed to grab a hold of his teammate, Ollie Milroy. Always great to speak to him. Now, of course, Ollie, maybe you can tell us what happened in the first lap just now, and congratulations, of course.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an incredible job by Ben. Obviously, everyone knows that Ben's at the moment one of the fastest GT drivers in the world at the moment, especially in qualifying, and he kind of showed everyone what he's got there. Really good job. We've worked really hard on the car over the course of the last couple of days as well, so it's great to see that as a team we've got the car in the right place, and just super excited to go racing now.
Great, can't wait to see what the team has to offer in the first race. So we also saw race 2. We were all thinking Ben Barnicoat was going to give a flying lap again. So he did a bit slower, just slightly slower than what he did in the first. So 155, 217, 155.8. What happened there? Can you tell us?
So the rules in this championship are, although you have 2 qualifying sessions, you only use 1 set of tyres. So obviously, especially around Dubai, because it's quite high degradation, and obviously with the temperature as well, you get a big peak on the new tyres. Right. So you'd always expect Q1 to be faster than Q2. That tyre's been through a bit of a heat cycle, and obviously an extra couple of laps. So, I think Ben did a really, we're third for race 2 as well by just, I think, less than 1/10 of a second. So, right. He did a really good job for Q2. You got that little bit less grip, as I say, so you expect the lap time to be a bit slower, but the result's still really good.
Right. So thank you so much for your time, Ollie. Always nice to see you, and can't wait to see what the whole team has to offer. We've got race 1 coming up just after this, but of course LMP2 and LMP3 qualifying.
Thanks, Nadia. And great stuff there from Ollie Milroy. One set of tyres across these qualifying sessions. Perfectly explained there by Ollie, and great pair of shorts, by the way, from the Englishman. I thought appropriate in the weather conditions there. But it's challenging then, isn't it?
It is.
What do you do with that one set of tyres? It's 20 minutes on that set of tyres, and you've got to get them to two different performance peaks.
You do, and that is a real challenge for every driver. They have put that lap down in that first qualifying session, but you're also wanting to make sure that you do keep something in reserve and that you don't completely, you know, destroy the tyre and really take all the life from it. You know, putting it like Ollie said, you know, you're peaking the tyre in that first qualifying session, you're getting the most from it, but you're making sure that you're not really giving it everything and loading a load of energy through it over an exit curb, or you know, really spinning the tyres up maybe as you're leaving the pit lane. You just want to make sure that you're really managing that tyre, and that's the key thing. Tyre management is what tomorrow's race is going to be about, or the race even later today. But yeah, it's tyre management is an extremely important part of being a driver now in GT racing.
Well, that'll be a big theme for when we're talking through the 4 hours of action later today. Into darkness, and of course into darkness you're dealing with something else here, which is the temperature doesn't drop off dramatically, but it does drop off obviously in darkness without the heat of the sun on here. So again, that's something you're going to have to manage through this period.
Yeah, that's certainly something that we are going to have to, the teams and drivers are going to have to manage. You know, that the cooling off of the temperature as the sun drops. And as we saw last night, it's going to be a challenge here, you know, in total darkness, relying on your lights, your own lights from the car to see where you're going. And, you know, there isn't much. There's a little bit of artificial light as you come down here, come down the front straight. But, yes, the rest of the track is a real challenge.
Very different driving experience here to Yas Marina, where it's fully floodlit at Yas Marina. It most certainly is not here. The dark of night here is very dark indeed, and there is very little lighting around the circuit. One or two of the corners partially lit, but as you quite rightly say, it is just the start-finish straight. We are 5 minutes from the start of LMP3 qualifying.
It certainly was. When we were talking to some of the drivers in the paddock earlier on yesterday, they were talking about running here in the dark and running on out on track, and yeah, hunting, really trying to find their way. And I think some of the LMP3 drivers are going to struggle a little bit with this, because maybe the lights in those P3 cars aren't as well set up and adjusted as maybe some of the GT cars are, and also some of the P2 cars are, where they've been racing, you know, at Daytona 24 hours, or whether it is at, you know, at Le Mans 24 hours. You know, you really do need your lights when it comes to those hours of darkness.
It's got to be said, it's highly unusual for LMP3 cars to actually race in the dark. I mean, the Daytona 24-hour race is the only 24-hour race where these cars have habitually raced with full. We've had the odd one or two doing long-distance races in darkness, but it is highly unusual. I think one or two of the drivers perhaps have been quite surprised by the challenge that presents. We might see that a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something that the LMP3 guys are going to have to really work on, you know, to really get themselves acclimatized, their eyes really adjusted to it, to make sure that that is something that they take on board and work with the team on.
So we're going to take a quick look back shortly at some of the highlights from those two quick-fire qualifying sessions. Produced some extraordinary results with identical times at the top for race 1, near identical time for the results for race 2, and we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. So as within 3 minutes now for LMP3 qualifying, let's take a look back at those two quick-fire sessions for this 23-car GT3 grid for the two races we're going to see this weekend for the start of the Asian Le Mans Series season. So the 10-minute section of cars in contention, including this number 17. This is the AF Corsa APM Monaco car, but it was Ben Barnicoat in the Inception Racing McLaren that dominated proceedings. He set pole position with Vincent Abriel setting an identical time in the number 17 Ferrari. Ben getting up to speed quickly, making sure the Michelins were up to snuff But fantastic stuff from the Englishman, who is in strong demand around the world. Johnny Adam very much in the mix. And for session 2 as well, he would set pole position. So we're now 2 minutes from the start of LMP3 qualifying. Let's talk a little bit about these cars. It's 9 cars in the LMP3 class, 3 different chassis, all powered, as we said, by that same 5.6 litre Nissan V8 engine with an X-Track gearbox bolted on the back of the cars. But we've got representatives here from Ligier, from Duquesne, and from Ginetta. Let's go down, though, before we get on track. She's got race 2 pole sitter in GT, Johnny Adam, in the TF Sport Garage.
Here at TF Sport, car number 95 coming in at number 1 just now. The fastest lap for qualifying for race 2 tomorrow for GT class. Jonathan Adam here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. So, of course, tell us about your lap in qualifying just now.
Yeah, you know, the lap in Q2 there was really clean. The car felt very good, actually slightly better than Q1. We seemed to not get the tyre in the window in Q1, but I'm very happy to be on pole for tomorrow's race, and hopefully we can convert that to a great result for TF Sport, and and hopefully get some good races tomorrow.
Fantastic. Now, of course, you have made pole for race 2. That's happening tomorrow. There's still some time for tweakings or whatever. So what is the preparations and mindset going into race 2 tomorrow?
Yeah, we worked hard on the car last night, really, to get the car right in a window that's kind on its tyre, but also good over stunt. And John Hort's driving really well this weekend, and we've got a new teammate with Enrique Chavez. So I think our lineup's strong. So yeah, hopefully we could sneak a great result this weekend.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All the best for tomorrow. And that was us from the garage of TF Sport. Thanks.
We're just about to go green for LMP3 session. Very much part of the future for Aston Martin. Johnny Adam, already a Le Mans winner, of course,
Indeed.
and took that win in a dramatic finish against your old team.
Indeed.
I mean, there've been few. I almost hate to ask, but don't. That has to be the one.
True journalist here.
Has to have been one of those most dramatic finishes in Le Mans history.
Yes, it really was, and it was something that. Aston Martin had a fantastic victory, but for Corvette it was a tough day.
We're back out now with track action. That was a somewhat horrid start. I'm sure that's Lawrence Herr getting the Nemo liveried car.
It's that squabble for track position, trying to make sure that they've got that clear bit of road in front of them, and you might just put that bit of energy, extra energy into the tyre just to sort of make sure that you've got that clean bit of road, and you're not getting blocked, you're not getting held up. And the Inter-Europol car is also
squabbling ahead of one of the CD Sport cars. Just looking to see which of that's the 27 car, isn't it? Take a look who's out there. I have zero doubt that is Lawrence Herr, the reigning European Le Mans Series LMP3 champion, and was a dominant force in Europe last year, the German.
DKR engineering operation was very, very strong here last year, very quick, but they had a few issues and problems and spent an awful lot of time in the pit lane, it seemed. But now we're looking at the number 72 car. And that is the...
That's the Corin and Kempe. We're going to have to get our finish sorted, aren't we?
Yes.
First ever Finnish LMP team. The team, I think, that is finding this quite a tough challenge, Ollie.
Yes, they are. I've been down to see them a couple of times over the weekend, and a very, very old sort of racing colleague and Tommy Valeney, who I competed against in the 1992. 1991 Formula Ford Festival. It was that long ago. I can't even remember.
Who got the better win? Better result there?
Yeah, Tommy did beat me.
Did.
Yeah, he was P3 and I was P6. But anyway, moving on. But they did a. I think that they're all coming here this weekend and really finding their way, let's say. 2
minutes into the session, 9 cars out on track. I think 8 cars out on track. We're still waiting to see. Oh no, all out there now. And we'll call out who's in these cars. Lawrence Herr it is, aboard the number 2 DKR engineering car. Michael Jensen, not to be confused with Mikkel Jensen. We've got a yellow flag out at turn 7. We'll talk about that in a moment or two. Is in the number 3 CD Sport car. The number 8 Nielsen Racing. It's a red flag. So what's happened out at turn 7?
Somebody just...
I'll just look and see if I can spot
what's going on
here.
Track. we're not getting the vision at the moment or any pictures to show us exactly what's happened. But there is something significant has happened. Obviously, Eduardo would not have red flagged it for nothing at all. So
brings things to a grinding halt pretty quickly. Let's tell you about who's out there. It is car 8. It's the Nielsen racing car. So the champions from a couple of seasons ago. Colin Noble is out aboard that car. So let's hope it's just a drama of the grinding to a halt sort.
He stopped and then he continued.
Right, so it does seem as if it's some kind of mechanical electrical issue for the Nielsen racing car rather than something more dramatic than that. We'll wait for news.
Online, maybe.
Into Europe, by the way, have Guillaume Murat de Oliveira aboard the number 13 car. 21's Conrad Motorsport car. We'll talk about the Ginetta a little later. That's Jordan Grogor, locally based driver here in Dubai. Andrik Steele is in the Rinaldi Racing number 22 car. That's the WTM livery car run last year by Phoenix Racing. Xavier Laveras is in the G-Drive racing car run by Graf Racing here. CD Sports other car, the 27 car. Stephen Palette is aboard the 27 CD Sports Ligier. That's the car we can see on there at the moment.
Graham, who's in the 72 Corine and Kempe motorsport car?
Yeah, it's Hesse, or Yessi, Salman Otio.
Brilliant.
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
No, of course.
Salman Otio. It's 2 Finnish drivers and 1 Russian aboard the Corine and Kempe team. And that team, whilst it might not be a familiar name to even regular followers of endurance racing, they are the team that was behind or supported the Team Thor Icelandic flagged entry in the Michelin Le Mans Cup last season. So that's another new nation to LMP Racing. That team will return this season, but backed by high-class racing from Denmark. So lots of Nordicness happening there.
And is this actually an all-Finnish team, first all-Finnish team here?
It's the only Finnish flag team I can ever remember in ACO Rules Racing, certainly in the modern era. It's great to see new nations coming in. It's not that long since we were able to celebrate the first Turkish flag team at Le Mans. Right. Which was with TF Sport and Salih Yolok, who is here, by the way, and racing this weekend in Formula 3. So in preparation for his second season in LMP2.
Cars are getting ready to get back to green here.
It's bad news, by the way, for the Nielsen Racing team. They will not be able to rejoin this session. I think they may well have got back to pit lane, and they have. But because they caused the red flag, they will play no part in this 10-minute session. What it does mean, of course, is they've got 10 minutes to sort out that problem and hopefully do a better job for session 2. So bad news for not the reigning champions, but the previous champions. We are back to green.
Yes, and CD Sport leads the cars out. And
oh dear me! And that's well, slippery.
It is.
That's tyres cooling just with the.
Michael Jensen losing it there.
Not Michael.
Yeah, as he was coming through the apex of turn 1.
He's managed to get the car back and rolling, though, so hopefully that will just be a local yellow.
That's a real symptom of just coming back in slowly and getting the sand on the tyres, pick up. And sometimes when it's like that, it's like driving on ice.
This becomes a little bit more frenetic, doesn't it? Because they've effectively completely lost those first 3 minutes.
Yep.
So this is effectively going to give these teams just probably 2 cracks at this.
Yep. And this is where a team manager just needs to get on the radio to their driver and say, look, breathe it. Just get yourself out of that pack. Get yourself some clear track space. Don't trip up over one another. And yeah, that's what the team manager should be doing right now.
It is the remaining 8 cars with Nielsen Racing counted out of this remaining part of the session. They're back in pit lane. And the abilities of their Ginetta, but also to prepare for another part of the and the abilities of their Ginetta, but also to prepare for another part of the year. They'll be coming to race with us in Europe, I believe, in the Michelin Le Mans Cup with that Ginetta later this year. And great to see a Ginetta on that grid for the first time, in fact, for a full season.
The G-Drive boys are there getting the car ready for the next session. See, one of the mechanics has just got one of those handheld fans blowing that into the driver. And unusually, the LMP3 cars are right-hand drive.
The Ligiers are.
Yeah, the Ligiers are right-hand
Yes.
drive.
And I did ask that question. I'm trying to
Unusual
remember
for
the
a
answer that was given.
French manufacturer.
The answer I was given for that question, because I have asked it, is it's to do with an analysis of most of the circuits the cars were due to race on. They believe that that would give an advantage.
There we are.
To do with the way in which the ebb and flow of the tracks go, they believe that right-hand drive would
Having
be
the driver
better
weight
choice.
on the inside of...
Correct.
Yeah, more right-hand corners, so more clockwise racetracks.
That's the level of detail they think about. Analysis of the calendars for the championships.
Okay. Still on the G-drive car. And...
Well, that wasn't close, but that shows just what we were talking about at the start of the show, Ollie, and I'm going to take my glasses off because this does rather messed up and I don't have to look at a timing screen now. But it does go to show the kind of level of dominance we've seen for most of last season from Lawrence. He truly is a driver in his pomp and looking for opportunities to display that at every turn. It's also his role to develop the other talent within the DKR engineering squad. And he's done a fine job of that. Kendi at DKR has done a brilliant job of finding talented non-professional drivers as well as a very talented pro driver. And it's going to be interesting to see just how close to his times his teammates can get.
Yes.
He's got an edge, but just exactly how well can they play in that? And it is that pro-am mix that always makes it fascinating in sports car racing. For me, the two big building blocks that make this the most exciting form of motorsport are that pro-am mix in mixed class racing, and also the fact it's mixed class racing, therefore it's 3 races, therefore there's traffic.
Yep. And that's one of the things that every single driver and every single team has to deal with. But like, going back to Kendi and how well he's running that team at DKR, you know, that is one of the real talents that you need, is to be able to spot that driver talent and get that driver talent into your team so that you can showcase what your team can really do.
Absolutely.
Back on track.
And Colin Noble straight away, and he's not going to have any nonsense from the 13 going by him here. Yeah. This is the Michelin Le Mans Cup champion, of course, from last season, Nielsen Racing.
And Colin will be in that position where he can actually... He's going to have slightly fresher tyres. He's just lost out to the Inter-Europol car coming into turn.
Who's got warmer tyres,
Who's got warmer tyres, yeah. So Colin he's going to have fresher tyres, but they are cooler than the Inter-Europol car has. So that was the thing that undid him there. So he just now needs to just breathe in a little bit, give himself some space, just so that he can then find that spot on the track that's going to enable him to deliver that lap. But once again, they're all on that same bit of racetrack, which is crackers.
And we've got 7 of the 9 cars already out on track for this second session. Remember, this is the session 10 minutes to set the grid for the Sunday race here in Dubai. So we have 4 4-hour races to come in 9 days. Absolutely amazing stuff. Both the races here will be into full darkness, and that's darkety dark here, as is the technical term.
Darkety dark.
Yes. Lawrence Hur again, ahead of that group of 3 cars. So again, it's Lawrence Hur. It'll be the same drivers, I'm sure, aboard all these cars. Why would you change? Aside, it has to be said, from the finish car, the Karainen Kampi motorsport car. It is Tommy Valeney.
It is.
The 3rd place finisher in the 1991 Formula Ford Festival.
And again, talking to that team earlier on in the weekend, it's just like they want to just get as much experience as they possibly can, just to get themselves...
Learn.
Yeah, prepared.
Very keen.
Very.
But they know they've got a mountain to climb here. But they're from Finland, so they'll be used to that.
Right. Okay. Over the line comes Lawrence Hur in the DKR car, down into turn 1. And once again, he's got himself in a nice spot on the track, nice bit of open road in front of him. He's winding his way through turns 4 and down into 5. Again, this is going to be an area of pinch point during the racing, multi-class racing, where they're going to be squabbling over the same piece of tarmac. But it's using a nice bit of apex curb there, and then running out and using all the road on the exit of turn 7. Winding down into turn 9, banked corner here, using that banking to really carve the corner and get that slingshot off, and up the long straight up into turn 10.
So 7 minutes remaining here. We wait for the first laps coming through. Well, let's see whether or not anybody's learned anything from those last 10 minutes and can get closer to Laurence Hurt. My guess is that Colin Noble will be looking to do that.
Yeah, I'd say that Laurence is likely to lay down that very quick lap. Can't see that anyone else is going to really challenge him. We're just waiting to see 72 car. This is Tommy Valeney in the Lmp3 motorsport car. I think my new favourite team in the series. And Tommy, he's a veteran, and he's got experience in lots of different forms of racing, but he hasn't raced for some time, so he's just getting himself back into it. He's a great guy, great team from Finland, and I'm sure that he's going to be putting a real performance on in this car later on in the championship. It's going to take that team a little time just to get their feet under the table and get everything, all the little wrinkles ironed out.
And let's hope so. They'd be very, very welcome on the world stage, and I think they're keen to do that. I think they're keen to find the resource, engineering and driving talent to do that, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge in this world at the moment to find the resource to go racing. It is great to see them here. Struggle or not, there's lots of people here willing them on, without a doubt.
So it's the DKR car that's quick right now. That's on P1 with a 152.003, and then it's the G-Drive car that's P2 with a 152.249. So it's a lot closer. It's only 2.5 tenths between those two cars.
So is this Laurence Hurt just biding his time? He doesn't need to be 1.2 seconds up the road.
He certainly doesn't, and he's just mostly thinking about the tyres that he's going to be using for the
exactly
race.
So I wonder whether or not that might be part of it, that maybe he's been back into the pits and Kenty's given him a bit of a slap about with the wet haddock to just remind him that it is about a long game. He's put down his calling card, he's done that, I can do that. Now what I'm going to do is to just make sure that I deliver.
Yep.
But he's got competition in this session. I'm no doubt that Colin Noble will want to put down a marker here. He's battled away with Laurence over the last 2 or 3 seasons in Lmp3, and there's not been much between them.
Yeah, I'm sure Colin is wanting to put down that lap, and he's on a 152.74 so far, has Colin. So he's what, some 6, 7, 10. I know he's 1.7 seconds off right now.
Yes, but that's an improved time, by the way, just there from Laurence Hurt. It's 151.404. He's 8 tenths up on Xavier Oliveras in the G-Drive car, running second, the 26 car. Got to see the G-Drive colours, very familiar to endurance fans. This time on an Lmp3 car, and if my sources are correct, and they often are, no disclaimer there, we'll see another Lmp3 car in these colours for the European season with a different team, Euro International, team that we've had here in the Asian Le Mans series in previous years. So LMP2 and LMP3 with the orange and black colours of the Russian fuel station brand G-Drive. Nielsen Racing, so it's 4th at the moment for the Nielsen Racing car after non-start. Well, did start, but were not able to complete the session early, did not set a time. So 151.404 is the mark to beat.
Actually, looking at the timing screens, we're just following the 72 car there of Karajan and Kempe, and it's actually not Tommy Valeney that's in the car.
Oh, it's changed again, yes.
I'll let you do the name there.
It's Jesse.
Jesse, okay, good. So Xavier Oliveras is in the G-Drive 26 car. He's looking to improve. I'm not sure how close he's going to get to Laurence Hurt.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you look at his sector times in this session with 2.5 minutes to go, he'd be within 4 tenths.
Yes.
But he's not. He's 1.2 seconds off. So he's not hooked his ideal lap together, but he's perfectly capable of putting together a lap time that is going to challenge that dominance. It's a matter of putting it together on the same lap.
Yeah, what that says to me is it a little bit of a peaky car to drive, and you have to. It's quite a small operating window it's working in, and you've got to line it up, and you've got to show the car the corner in a particular way, and you've really got to hit particular parts and be very disciplined with your driving. And if you overdrive at all, then your lap time just starts to disappear. I think Colin Noble, the number 8 car, has got a bit of a problem. He's 1.6 seconds off Lawrence Hoare, which is not really true to form, is it?
Maybe that car not quite in rude health. It did, as we said a little earlier, stopped in the early stages of the session. Colin got it going, but after a red flag had been called to protect the stationary car, got it back to the pit lane. They're not allowed to rejoin, having caused the red flag period. That's the rule. But
Lawrence,
again, this looks pretty dominant from Lawrence Hoare.
Yeah, he has a very particular driving style.
Quite aggressive.
Yeah, he is quite aggressive, but what he does is he makes sure he gets the car very, very straight off of all of the hairpins to get very good drive off the tyre. This might also be, he's trying to look after that tyre, making sure that he's giving it plenty of life for the race.
Here's our Finnish friends, the number 72 car. Another orange and black Duquesne, so we've got to be quite careful we don't confuse this with D-Cars and Emo liveried D08. They're together on track right now.
Somebody has just touched the one of the boards there on the way into turn 16.
The polystyrene markers, yeah.
Which can present a bit of a problem, particularly if you get that into the radiator.
Yeah, you can. We had well, not a retirement, a long delay for one of the BMW GT3 cars a few weeks ago in the 24-hour race here in Dubai. Ingested the entire thing.
And it looks like quite a large chunk of that polystyrene is just before the brake zone into turn 1.
So that's at least a distraction and potentially something rather more serious than that.
Indeed.
So let's hope one of the cars managed to is to literally blow it away.
Checkered flag, and it's still the DKR of Lawrence Hoare P1. And he is 0.8 of a second up the road from the G-Drive 26 car.
And they've both pitted, so they're not going to improve. Just looking to see whether we see completion of the lap from into Europol. They're next up, so it's 0.8 of a second, then 1.4, 1.6, 1.9, 1.9. So CD Sports and the Rinaldi cars very close together. The Conrad Ginetta 7th this time around. The 27 CD Sport car is in the pits and a little way further back. And as we said a little earlier, on a learning curve, the number 72 Lmp3 Motorsport car from Finland props up the order here. The gap across the field, 3.3 seconds. But that you sort of see as a starting point, don't you? Yeah. Oh, big wiggle there from the CD Sport car.
Yeah, that corner, big traction issues there for nearly every single car in the field. Got to be disciplined.
Absolutely. So that is the checkered flag. We're not going to see a significant change in the order there for LMP3. And it will end with a Duquesne on top.
CD Sport car is still pressing on. Colin Noble has put himself P3.
Colin makes a liar of me straight away. He heard me and he's basically said, there you go, Goodwin, chew on that one. Well done, Colin. But still not under a second back, so an improvement from Colin. But he'll put himself on the second row of the grid for
I have a
Sunday's
feeling
race.
that car is not in the right health.
Yes. But Nielsen Racing know their LMP3 cars, and Tony Wells and Colin Noble are a winning combination in LMP3. Indeed, reigning champions from Michelin Le Mans Cup and previous champions here in the Asia Le Mans Series. It was that result, by the way, just a couple of years ago that gave Nielsen Racing the opportunity to make their first start at the Le Mans 24 Hours in LMP2. That time with a loaned car from Algarve Pro. This time in the Asia Le Mans Series with the start of a brand new era for the team. And this is their first full season in LMP2, and you'll see that car trackside very soon.
Yes.
Because you're going to be leaving us in the booth presently as the number 2 car is just delivered to the scrutineering bay. There is Lawrence Hoare masking up, having delivered 2 pole positions for the Luxembourgeois team. We're getting very used to hearing the Luxembourg national anthem on podiums in Europe, and principally that's because of the success in recent years of this team, multiple Michelin Le Mans Cup champions. In fact, until this year, no other team had won the Michelin Le Mans Cup LMP3 championship other than DKR Engineering.
It's quite dominant form.
Maybe 4 championship runs. Laurent's featuring, I think, in 2 of those. Followed that up with the European Le Mans Series Championship last year, because he had a variety. Because he had a variety of teammates, it was Laurent himself that took the championship by himself. So we learned a lot there. We learned that there's teams with a lot to learn. We learned there's teams with a couple of problems out there. And we learned that Laurent hasn't lost anything in terms of pace over the winter.
No, and DKR certainly have not forgotten how to run a car in LMP3 and prepare for qualifying sessions and run here at the Dubai Autodrome. They're using on all of that experience that they gained from last year. And, you know, in Lawrence, they have really a real talent right there in his pomp, as you say.
But, dear listeners and viewers, don't presume that that necessarily follows the form you're going to see in the race later today, or indeed in the race tomorrow, because this is a team game. And the team game in endurance races means that we need to see what the other drivers can produce and what the team can produce on pit lane. It needs to be error-free, it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be pace from across the piece.
Yeah, you've got to have all of your team members there performing absolutely properly. And
so we're going to be down to the pit lane shortly. Laurent, you've seen, is down at the scrutineering bay, but Nadia is going to be down at the DKR garage with Untitled Chapter. So let's go down to Nadia Nash, back with us this season with the Asian Le Mans Series. She's with the Lmp3 pole-sitting team, DKR Engineering.
Yeah, making pole position just now for LMP3 is Lawrence Hall for car number 2. Of course, we are at the garage of DKR Racing or DKR Engineering, and his teammate is right here, Matthew, here with us. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us. Tell us about how was the lap just now. You saw your teammate did a fantastic job, and how are you guys looking forward to tomorrow's race and the race later today?
Yeah, so Lawrence and the team did an amazing job. I mean, the lap of Lawrence was super quick. And the setup of the car was amazing. The car in general is amazing. And for the race, for the both races, because we start in pole for the both, we're looking quite good actually. We have a good race pace, and yeah, we hope we take the both win. Sorry, for the
fantastic.
Race.
You look ready. Your whole team looks ready. So all the best for the race later and tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was it from pole sitters for both races in LMP3.
The bad news, by the way, for the rest of the teams in LMP3 is Mathieu de Barbeau, as we saw there with Nadia Nash, is pretty quick as well. Yeah. So it's not all good news that there's 3 drivers to go. I'm going to remove my glasses because steamy eyes. What can you say? Fascinating stuff in that class, and fascinating stuff for a number of reasons. It is great to have the variety of chassis we've got here. The Ginetta going better this year with Conrad than we saw last year in its debut, global debut with ARC.
If anybody's going to get that going, Franz is the guy to get it going, and also Ralph Uttner there, passing on all of his experience to get the prototype car further up the field.
And whilst we won't see Franz Conrad in the driving seat of that car,
because that was on the cards, wasn't it?
It was on the cards, and Franz now at 70 years young.
Yes.
He was giving it everything with the spanners when I was down there. So he is a very driven man.
And the stories, plenty of stories.
And yet another man in this paddock, by the way, that you've driven and had success with, in fact. You're I think your breakthrough race in endurance racing.
He is. He's been a great guy to work with, and somebody really gave me a fantastic break.
Great stuff. So Ollie's going to make his way down at the moment to go and hang on the fence, not quite literally. He's not going to do the Castro Neves job for us here, but he's going to be down there and watching a little bit of action trackside. The Conrad story with Ollie, of course, was Ollie raced the Celine back in 2001 to a win on their debut with that car at the Sebring 12 Hours, beating Corvette Motorsport, Corvette Racing, which Oliver then left the Celine camp to join Corvette and stayed there for 2 decades with amazing success. Next up is going to be LMP2 and the 4.2 litre V8 Gibson engine cars here. And another unusual car that's going to be on track. We saw the Ginetta in the LMP3 sessions. We're going to see the Ligier with ARC Bratislava in the LMP2 sessions. And by my reckoning, the only non-Orica we'll see in competition globally in LMP2 in 2022. As the track is beginning to warm up here. It is warm but not blisteringly hot yet. But temperature climbs very quickly as we get into the heat of the day. Dubai City over into the background. Rubber beginning to go down. Lots of support races here, by the way, with the F4 and F3 series locally, both featuring on the card with some familiar names on those too. Great to have, by the way, on board with the Asian Le Mans Series, our regular partners from Total Energies, from Michelin, on board for the Asian Le Mans Series. There is the number 44 ARC Bratislava car. And Mira Konopka sharing that car with Neil Muston and John Corbett. So very much an all-AM layout for the very yellow Slovakian entered Ligier JSP 217. That is the brand new Nielsen racing car with its Nordic assemblage, including, I noticed, a sort of Nordic, but not Nordic script, Husky on the inside rear wing, both sides of that car. That is not my Husky, beloved of my family and others, but the pet dog of Rodrigo Sales, Shadow the Husky, I'm told, is his name. 39 is the Graf racing car, and that Orica ready to go. We'll be seeing that car in Europe as well as the Nielsen car, by the way, which is committed to both championships. And it's a little further up the pit lane before we get to the fourth of what is a small but perfectly formed four-car LMP2 grid this season. That will be the high-class racing car. There she is. And that is the 49 car. So Slovakia, the UK, France and Denmark are the four nations represented on the team sheets. Still carrying the Sashi Beef branding that that car carried at the Le Mans 24 Hours when the car was in the hands of the father and son team of Jan and Kevin Magnussen. Yet another person that Oliver Gavin has been racing with. He's not going to be able to answer that one because he's sprinting off up trackside for the start of this session. So we will see. Counting down the times to start of the LMP2. And it will be again 2 10-minute sessions. Just those four cars that are going to be on track. And we wait to see which drivers emerge from pit lane for these four teams. But remember, there is an automatic invitation to Le Mans on the cards for the winner in this class 2. It is 1 minute to the opening of pit exit, so this session will start at 5 minutes to the hour. And we're going to be looking for track limits again here. Seen a lot of that in the early parts of the earlier sessions. So for the 39, the 44 and the 49, heat haze beginning to rise from the track surface here. That is a start-finish straight at Dubai Autodrome with the hotel in the background. That's very many people on the grid staying up this year. And what a view that's got of the track. As Oliver Gavin was saying earlier in the broadcast, lots of rise and fall here, which you don't necessarily see from TV pictures, but there is quite a lot of gradient here at the Dubai Autodrome. Over 5 kilometres, it's a long racetrack. Slippery, technical and quick. Pit exit is now open for the start of the LMP2 session. Let's see who emerges first onto the track. Green flag, as you can see, is being waved on pit lane. It is the number 49 car that's first out, and it will be Dennis Anderson at the wheel of the high-class racing car, the bronze-ranked driver, who's been increasing in pace and in confidence and consistency. He's been with high-class racing since their Renault days, the RS01s with Anders Fjordbach. 44 car is out in the hands of Neil Muston. Neil, in his spare time, flies fast jets. Yes, he's a nutter. The 44 car. Still a very good looking car, the Ligier. P217, this car is the basis of the Nissan engined DPI entry that featured in North American racing for several years, and Ligier produced a one-off, completely unrestricted version of that car, 800 plus horsepower and improved aerodynamics as a unique track day car, the Ligier JS PX, that will be seen, I'm sure, looking for records. Well, we've had a chance to look at these cars for the TV screens. Oliver Gavin now is going to be trackside between turns 14 and 15, seeing what the experience is like from the trackside. Ollie, what's it like down there with you?
Well, thank you very much, Gray. We're just seeing the 49, the high-class racing go by, but it was action-packed. We're going to have 4 cars in the LMP2 class to come by. We've just seen the high-class racing go by. I'm at turn 15, which is the highest point of the racetrack. You're seeing the AC Bratislava car go by, the number 44, just getting himself prepared and ready for his qualifying lap. Yeah, this is all going to be about preparation. Finding that nice bit of racetrack should be hard with 4 cars out there. And, you know, you're getting everything warmed up, brakes, tyres, getting yourself prepared and mentally. But let's just walk this way, Tojo. Just come on down with me. This is one of the little things that you're going to see here on the racetrack that maybe you don't have pointed out. Here's this orange escape hatch from anybody that has an issue or a problem on the track. This is pointed out to all the drivers in the driver's briefing, these orange areas that you can escape from. If you have a problem, car stops, you can escape through this, jump over the barrier and get yourself safe. So as I say, we're here at turn 15. We're just waiting for a couple more cars to come round. And turn 14 is down there. You see that the track is falling away somewhat. It's hard to see the elevation change here when just watching the cars on the TV screen. But when you actually get trackside and you get the cars coming by, that you'll see that there's this really big elevation change between turn 14 coming up here into turn 15. This is a fast sweeping corner, and you've got to be really on it to make sure that you're getting the most performance from it. Okay, we just got another one of the LMP2 cars just coming through with this qualifying session, and I think this is going to be the high-class racing car, car 49. He's just missed the apex curb there. He's not using really any exit curb, and he's just trying to get himself set for another qualifying lap. I think the AC Bratislava car is going to be the next car through. And as you see, you'll be able to see the car popping up here, coming up over the rise, turn 44, turn 15 apex, then over the crest into 16. And we've got the Nielsen car now out on track. Again, you'll be able to see it come up, pop up to the apex curb there of turn 15. And you're not using that much curb on the exit, but again, he's just getting himself, building himself up for that qualifying lap. And we haven't seen the Graf racing car out yet, but we will be seeing that car out here very, very shortly.
Great stuff. The Graf racing car, Ollie, has not emerged from pit lane. In fact, does so literally as I speak. It's David Drew will be out on track. We have seen flying lap completed as he came past you at a pace from Dennis Anderson, a 150.669, well up, a couple of seconds up, in fact, exactly 2 seconds up on Neil Muston. Ben Hanley, late addition to the session, after just sitting it out for a couple of minutes in the number 4 Nielsen Racing car, has gone purple in the first sector by a full second. So if he can maintain that pace, it looks like it's going to be a pole position run here from the number 4 car. That Nordic script livery, the sky blue and red livery. Looks a picture, it really does. The non-Nordic symbolage, including a taco, a teddy bear and a husky. There will be stories to be told about that, I'm sure. There's the 49 car again, Dennis Anderson pushing on. He's improved his time on both sectors. We see this very often with the gentleman drivers. Pulls the time down, by the way, to a 1:49.954. Well done, Dennis. It's a cracking lap. So it's an improved time for him for both of the first two sectors. But that is being substantially beaten at the moment out on track by the man we're going to see completing a lap very soon, the number 4 Nielsen racing car, as Dennis goes through to start another lap. Still just under 4 minutes left to go. 1:49.569. Apologies, 1:49.954. It's a 1:45.569 from Ben Hanley, 4 seconds quicker. So Ben is not messing about here. 3.5 minutes to go. That's what I think I'll call a statement. But remember, this is Ben Handley, gold-rated driver, against Dennis Anderson, a bronze-rated a non-pro driver. Wait to see what David Drew can bring to the party in the 39 car. David's first full season in a LMP2 car. He's been rapid in LMP3 in past seasons. 3 minutes to go, as you can see on the clock, as we keep with Dennis Anderson for the moment. There is Ben Hanley, and well, maybe the one thing that might stop this from being an improvement for Ben is the fact that he's rapidly catching Neil Muston in the number 44 car. It's another purple sector from Ben Hanley. He's a second up in that first sector, 1.5 seconds up on the first sector from Dennis Anderson. And approaching now the end of the second sector. With 2.5 minutes to go, is under no threat from pole position for Saturday's race here. In this brand new effort, it is, perhaps unsurprisingly, another purple sector from Ben Hanley. It's a short final sector, about 30 seconds as he comes down towards the final turn with the hotel on the outside. The Ligier is not going to be a factor. 1:45.569 it was. He's pushing hard. What's this going to be? It's a 1:45.248, so he takes some more tenths out of that. It is purple, 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 and 4.7 seconds to the good for pole position at the moment, with under 2 minutes to go. So Ben Hanley from Dennis Anderson, Neil Muston. David Drew goes through now into second place, and it's not 4.7 seconds anymore, it's 1.2 seconds, so a great lap there for the first flyer in the Graf Racing car from David Drew. They joined in late, and I do wonder whether or not that's about just looking after these tyres. It's another of these track surfaces that can do some quite odd things with the rubber. So missed half of the first session, Graf Racing. Left Ollie Gavin waiting for the 39 car that never appeared.
Oh, nice to be back.
It's nice to be back. You enjoyed that?
Yes, it was nice to get outside and a bit of sunshine.
And how warm is it out there, Ollie?
It's pleasant. It's not
blazing hot.
No, it's not blazing hot, which it can be here in Dubai. But yeah, nice conditions to be out on track.
Well, the good news for Graf Racing is it's not a purple sector, but it is a blue sector for David Drew. So 1.2 seconds could be coming down a little as Ben Hanley's lifted off. I think he thinks all that needs to be done has been done. We've got under a minute to go to the end of this, the first of 2 10-minute qualifying sessions.
So Ben Hanley's got it pretty much under control. That Nielsen car has looked really hooked up this weekend, hasn't it, so far? And yeah, Nielsen are very well drilled.
Well, they're not messing about, Nielsen Racing, investing in talent in the team. Noticed Mark Scaife, who used to be #1 mechanic on one of the United Autosports LMP2 cars, is on duty here for Nielsen Racing, and with that team now full-time. So
is David Drew going to improve?
He's got 2 blue sectors. He's going to improve his time. I think he's going to be under a second behind here. And the answer is he is. It's now down to just 8.5 tenths at the end of that. This is a brand new effort for Graf Racing. They've got experience in LMP2 racing. David Drew, not a lot, but that's good stuff from David Drew. It's going to be interesting to see how he improves through this Asia Le Mans series. Not just today, not just this evening, and not just today and tomorrow, but through these 4 races. It's how a lot of these teams are building their season, is to use this intensive season to just put themselves under pressure, learn and develop on those lessons very quickly indeed.
one of the actual unique things about the Asian Le Mans series, and particularly in the last couple of seasons, is this. What the pandemic has brought is this ability just for teams to come and really focus here in the UAE, here in Dubai Autodrome for 2 races, 2 4-hour races, and then quickly bounce on to Yas Marina, and to get that experience and to get drivers really cued into the equipment. Nielsen Racing doing that perfectly. And then also get not just their drivers, but it's also the team members. And if they have to blood anybody new into the team and get them into sports car racing and multi-class racing, it gives you that real ability to race one day and then race again the next day and really learn your lessons very, very quickly. And that repeatability, and then going the following weekend to Yas Marina again to all be out there performing again as a team and working on those routines. And it's all about that, so much of, you know, pit stops and driver changes. It's all about that muscle memory.
There is Ben Hanley. He's going to stay aboard for session 2. That's not a surprise. Ben, with LMP2 race winning form, of course, and that's a good yardstick for the likes of David Drew to learn from what you're able to deliver here at this circuit, and again next weekend at the 2 races we're going to have at Yas Marina circuit. But bodes well for David for the season to come here and in Europe, where I'm told we're going to see exactly the same driver lineup from Graf Racing at the European Le Mans Series, and that driver lineup completed with David Drew by Trullier and Sebastien Paget.
Just again, it just reinforces that. They're using this as a really fantastic opportunity to race everybody together, get themselves under, because the pressure and the spotlight of competing in any race, you know, whether it's Asian Le Mans, ELMS, Le Mans itself, you know, they're all big races. They're all races that you have to really focus on, and you're operating under those same regulations and rules, and it's brilliant to just drill your team.
Yep, Nielsen Racing we saw just a little earlier with Neil Mustard. They're coming out to their 10th anniversary celebrations last year. They moved to Graf Racing, and their history in the sport goes way back to Group C days. They've been multiple starters at Le Mans over many years and under different team names, but Graf Racing, you know, a very well-established part of the French racing architecture. There is David Drew, and obviously with very big Drew written across his helmet, just in case he forgets whose helmet it is, I presume.
It's unique, and actually I don't mind that.
That's quite fun.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
That's quite fun. But the very proudly worn tricolour colours of Graf Racing.
Yeah.
And good to see financial backing on the side of these cars as well. That's been another issue for many teams through the pandemic, and that's coming back. So we are going to be just a few minutes, it's 1 minute now for the second session to start. So, okay, in terms of competitiveness between the cars, not a thriller, but it shows what's deliverable here by a professional driver. That's the mark that David Drew, and by the way, in the Nielsen Racing car, Matt Bell is going to be looking to get as close as he possibly can do. Matt with some, but not a lot of LMP2 experience, but race-winning LMP3 experience. And they're going to be seeing whether or not Rodrigo Salas, the non-professional driver, can get close to as close to those times as he can and as consistently as he can.
Yeah, and Matt was talking to me earlier on in the weekend, and, you know, he's relishing this chance to race in LMP2. You know, he's had many seasons in LMP3, and now he's getting the chance to step up. And I see that, you know, well-deserved. He's a real talent in the class. So, yeah, it's going to be a nice challenge for him and the team.
Yep, and Matt, the younger of the two racing Bell brothers. Some would say the more attractive of the two. I couldn't possibly comment.
But you will.
I will,
yep.
Privately.
Yep.
Rob, his brother, still a McLaren factory driver, by the way, in GT3. Winner of the Goodwood Hill Challenge last year in the unrestricted GT3 McLaren. What a beast that thing was. Nice to get a close-up there of the number 44 car. The Ligier JSP 217, and that colour scheme that Miro Knopka and all of his cars has carried proudly for many, many years. We're trying to work out. So Miro, one of, I think, only 2 drivers in Asian Le Mans Series history who has raced in every class, every current class, LMP2, LMP3 last year, of course, and years past with Ginetta. And prior to that, we've seen him in a variety of GT cars as well. The other one, Sean Tong, who will be with us in the Ginetta from Conrad Motorsport. Out comes the 49 car again, and it is once again Dennis Anderson.
High-class racing car. And High Class were the team that ran both Kevin and Jan Magnussen at Le Mans last year.
Yep.
And great to see them racing together. I know that was a real a real moment for Jan, you know, to be able to race at Le Mans with his son after competing there for many, many years. As a teammate of mine at Corvette Racing, and you know, he always competed there for Panos and numerous other people, Audi, and you know, to be able to go there and compete with Kevin was something very, very special and high class for a big part of making that happen.
Denmark, proud racing heritage, of course, for Tom Christensen, Jan Magnussen, and many others. And bring with them.
It does get rather crazy there with the Danes, doesn't it?
There is nothing like a Dane.
No. Dane in Le Mans.
It is quite an experience if you're a regular watchers of the Le Mans 24 Hours and if you're a regular attendee, you can't fail to have spotted the Danish campsites. It's very much packaged, isn't it, in Denmark? They turn up in large coaches by the 1,000.
Yes. And you can hear them as well.
Yeah.
Even when you're driving around in a thumping V8 Corvette. You can hear them, you can see them.
Yeah, yes, it's fair to say it's party time in the Danish tents.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
And it is great to see. It's a life-affirming thing when people get together. That's Neil Mustang going wide there at turn 14.
Just got a little bit deep there on the brakes. Maybe just hadn't got those right side tyres fully up to temperature.
It is the same 4 drivers in the same 4 cars. So it will be Ben Hanley, David Drew, Neil Mustard in this car, Dennis Anderson in the 49 car that goes now to start his flying lap. Now Neil Mustard, Australian driver in this Slovakian-run French car with a British engine.
It's coming down into turn 1. Quite using all the road on the way in there. Maybe could be running a little bit wider, closer to the white line. He's using the apex curb there at 3, winding into 4. These are the P2 cars will use the least road at that point on the racetrack. The aerodynamical downforce that these cars can generate is pretty extraordinary performance, like nothing that anybody would ever experience on the road.
Yeah.
And P2 cars can, you know, it is a phenomenal performance.
Well, let's not forget a P2 car with this same engine, Orica, and in fact, previous Asian Le Mans Series entering team, Jackie Chan DC Racing, finished 2nd overall in an Lmp3 car not so many years ago at the Le Mans 24 Hours against the might of the factory hybrids.
Yes.
A race where the factory hybrids had their problems, the P2 cars didn't, and very, very nearly won the race.
Yeah, it is pretty extraordinary.
Amazing cars, these cars capable of speeds at Le Mans in the past which were equal to or better than the pre-hybrid LMP1 cars from such as the Audi factories. So we're going to call you through the timing because we are having some difficulties at the track here with the timing systems, but we're happily enough have got them back in the booth, waiting for Dennis Anderson to come through. He'll be first through to complete a flying lap. And remember, on the same set of tyres, Dennis is with a 1:49.982. It's his first offering, 6 minutes to go. Ben Hanley, unsurprisingly from the evidence presented last time, is going to be substantially quicker than that, but we're going to see Neil Mustang through first. Mustang goes through with a 1:50.273, 3/10 off that, off the Dennis Anderson time. Now Ben Hanley comes through, and it's a 1:48.0 from Ben Hanley. That's 1.9 seconds up on Dennis Anderson. David Drew, that's not a representative time from David, is it?
No, I think that David was just getting himself warmed up, just taking his time and
keeping out the way of the Nielsen car as well, I should think.
Yeah, and so he's just, you know, looking after the tyre, just bringing it back in nice and gently.
Well, the good thing here, with these 5 minutes to go, is all of these cars are in clean air and with lots of track between them. So we're going to be seeing them going as quickly as they possibly can. But Ben Hanley at the moment looking set fair for a double pole position. This opening 2 rounds this weekend. Yes, 2 rounds this weekend of the Asian Le Mans Series. 4-hour races tonight and tomorrow night.
David Drew was purple sector in that final sector, so he was just winding himself up just gently, getting himself back into it, and it'll be this next lap that he delivers the lap
I think
time.
he feels he's got a sniff of a possibility for maybe. Certainly. He's almost as quick in the first sector as Ben Hanley this time around, although it's not ultimately the fastest sector we've seen from Ben. But I think he's measuring himself against Ben Hanley, which is exactly what he needs to do.
Quite right. Ben just winding his way down, 13 into 14, getting on the brakes, deep, using that banking, and making sure that you're getting yourself off the corner, keeping to the left, ready for that line through turn 15. A little bit of curb on the exit there, making sure you're using all the road on the way into 16. And another nicely delivered lap there from Ben. Very clean, smooth.
This is a good lap from David Drew, but it's a better lap at the moment from Ben Hanley. He goes through with a 1:48.0 now.
46.0.
My apologies, my steamed glasses not doing me a favour.
David Drew, 46.832 from David Drew in the Graf Racing number 39 car. So,
interestingly though, until Hanley crossed the line, David Drew was on track to beat his previous time. He would have gone provisional pole had the cars been in the opposite position on track. So David Drew, well, if he can repeat that feat this time around, this could get interesting. We've got 3.5 minutes left. We'll keep an eye, but it's another purple sector
from Ben
Hanley.
Yeah,
he's got out the toolkit and he's turning the screw again.
He might be just tripping over the AFC Bratislava car here because it's Neil Mustin is just that. He's just getting into that zone where he's going to start stealing some air off the front of Ben Hanley's car.
So David Drew, this is an impressive run from David. Very impressive. Ben Hanley, you know, a highly rated driver in LMP cars, and if David Drew can get anywhere near him, that's going to be an interesting prospect over the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, we might not be seeing it here in this qualifying session, but certainly for the next ones coming up. And yeah, Ben Hanley has got held up a little there, I believe, by Neil Mustin. And
David, at the moment, he's around half a second off the overall pace, so that means he's closing.
Yeah, this is going to be an improvement for him, no doubt, for David Drew. He's a little bit wide there on the way out and into 15. He's maybe not using quite as much road on the way into 16 as Ben Hanley is. Maybe just want to be looking at his data and looking at his onboard vision after this session to see where he can improve. But really solid effort there from David Drew. He didn't quite improve.
He didn't, did he? He'd lost some time in the final sector there. It's an improved time, by the way, from Neil Mustin. He's third quickest in this session at the moment. So Dennis Anderson and Neil Mustin have exchanged positions in this session. They were third, fourth, the other way round, but it is the Ligier that's currently third in this session. And I think that is Ben having lifted off.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. How close are they to David Drew behind it? He wasn't that far behind.
He wasn't that far, no, but I think
he's possibly done as well.
Breathed it.
Yeah, I think he's realised the traffic is not going to help him.
Yeah, and with the sun just getting that little bit higher in the sky as we go through the morning here, you know, the track temperature is going to be climbing, and they're going to be having to manage those tyres a little now, and the Michelin tyre will be, you know, just there'll be lost necessarily that peak of performance. So that's and they'll understand that. The team will be talking to the driver about that, making sure that they're not pressing it and pushing it on to, you know, ruin the tyre for the race.
Yeah, it looks to me like it's a pretty set fare for another double pole position. We saw an LMP3 for D-Car Engineering. It's going to be another one for Nielsen Racing with their season debut, not actual debut, but season debut in LMP2. They've raced at Le Mans in P2 previously, but this is the start of a major new programme for Sven Thompson and his merry men and women.
The only one that I can see making any improvement here is Dennis Anderson. I believe he started another lap.
Yeah.
Just to see if he can improve and maybe take that spot off of Neil Mustin. So
well, he's got it's only 0.3 of a second between the two of them. So we're counting down towards the checkered flag in a moment as the pole setter moves into pit lane and straight into the scrutineering bay, as the pole setter will, for a technical check over to make sure everything's as it should be before pole position is finally confirmed a little later. There's Dennis Anderson. Let's keep an eye on his numbers.
It's only the first sector, doesn't look spectacular, but let's see how he gets through turn 10.
The key for him is not going to be Ben Hanley, it's going to be Neil Mustin. And the final analysis, by the way, might imagine, is the all-purple sectors, the fastest 3 sectors of that session, all delivered by the pole position car. Well, I thought that was an encouraging run from David Drew.
Let's just see what Dennis Anderson can do here coming into that. He's just completed the second sector. And it's not a personal best.
No, it's not. I don't think he's going to do it.
No, it doesn't look like it, but I think he's going to complete the lap. Oh, there's the commentator's curse.
There you go.
There we go, into the pit lane. I think the team must have radioed him and said, yep, that's it. Don't put another lap on the tyres. Let's bring it into the pit lane and we'll look at the data.
So it's a 1:46.075 is the mark for the pole setting car from Nielsen Racing. 0.75 of a second back to the 39 car of David Drew. Then it is a big gap before we get to the two bronze drivers. Neil Muston, a 1:49.688, and edges out Dennis Anderson by 0.3 of a second. They're the four in LMP2. It is therefore a double pole position for Nielsen Racing. It's a double pole position in LMP3 from DCAR Engineering, but different pole setters in GT3. Yep. And there, I think we've got fireworks. And bear in mind as well, before we get into it, because I'd like to hear what you think about, particularly the GT pack here, Ollie, is that's a battle that the LMP cars are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be all part of multi-class racing. You know, we've seen that with so many different races around the world. And here at Dubai, it really is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge for all the P cars to navigate their way through all the GT cars. Those GT cars are going to be maybe not wanting to give up much space or room. And the GT car also needs the most track to exist and get the most from their cars and their tyres. And they have to use all of the racetrack. Whereas we did see from the qualifying session there with the LMP2s, you know, they're maybe not using all of the road to get the most performance from it because they've got that aerodynamical downforce. The P2 cars are lighter. They've got more actual corner performance. They can generate that performance, their lap time, in lots of different ways, whereas a GT car has to use all that road. So it creates for, you know, somewhat tricky racing, but everybody's there competing at the same point.
We've then got the other factor, because we've been completing qualifying here in the heat of the day. We're racing into darkness. It will be cooler. And whereas we saw the Audis, the AMGs, to a lesser extent, the Porsches, a little off the ultimate pace, that could all change.
Absolutely. You know, we're going to see a big swing in track temperature here and the conditions. So today, we've been dealing with the track heating up. And when we get to the race this evening, we're going to have the opposite, with it cooling down. So that's all going to be something that the tacticians and the engineers are going to be sitting there with the laptops, and really, that's where they're going to be earning their money.
Absolutely. You pay for the big brains on the pit wall. And from our point of view, there's two great things about this. There's lots of new and there's lots of uncertainty, and that's what makes racing fun, particularly when you're dealing with not one race, as we keep saying, but three races: LMP2, LMP3, and that record-breaking 23-car GT grid, with teams learning new machinery, including Garage 59 with the first time with their McLarens, and including the new BMWs for Falconhurst Motorsport.
Oh yeah, there is. There's an awful lot of very new lineups, partnerships, people, you know, in different machinery. You know, like you say, Garage 59 have gone, you know, from the Astons over to the McLarens, and you've got a number of different teams here as well, learning the environment they're racing in. Very sandy, dusty Dubai Autodrome.
Absolutely, it is a start of a new season, start of a very different season. As you were saying with the GT3 teams, lots of new machinery, new drivers learning new machinery, new teams learning new machinery. And included in the teams learning new machinery is Nielsen Racing and their brand new driver squad. Nadia Nash has got two of them with her down the Nielsen Racing double pole setting crew right now.
Yes, in the garage of car number 4, Nielsen Racing. We were just planning to interview two of his teammates, but he made it back on time. Thank you so much. So we've, of course, got all three, Ben, Matt, and Rodrigo here with us. Congratulations on pole for both races. So maybe, of course, the driver himself. Ben, can you tell us what went down in the car just now? How was the circuit?
Yeah, I mean, the car was great. The guys have, obviously, it's been tricky to prep a new car and get out here in time in a short scale, so they've done a great job. We had a little issue when we first went out in the practice one, but they soon got on top of it, and it's ran great since. So yeah, it's a great job by everyone in the team, and yeah, happy to be here and put it on pole position for the guys.
Congratulations, great job. Now we know that the race is only, what, 4 hours away. How is that for you guys? The turnaround time, is that short preparation?
It's not too bad. It's quite a standard gap really for what we're used to. So in between sessions anyway, so yeah, like I said, the guys have done a great job so far in getting everything ready and in a good shape. So, yeah, happy to get going, start the race, and see what we can do after 4 hours.
Right, fantastic. One more question. I just want to know the spirit of the team right now. Everybody looks prepared. Everybody's optimistic about the race tomorrow and throughout the season.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we're all excited to be here. We've all done Asian Le Mans Series before. Well, no, it's your first time, Ben.
My first time, yeah.
Yeah, it's first time stepping up to LMP2 for the team, so there's lots of anticipation, and yeah, we're all excited to get going, so can't wait.
Amazing. That's exactly what we want to hear. Can't wait to see you guys at the front of the grid later today and tomorrow. All the best. That was from the team from Nielsen Racing, guys.
Yeah, Nadia, great to have Nadia back with us. Slightly confused by time zones. It's 5 hours to the race, but it'll be a 4-hour race. Yeah, you were panicked there for a moment.
It's good to see the energy there from Matt. You know, it's great to see him on you know, really getting ready for the race. He can't wait to get going.
He grafts. You know, it is a tough thing to be a professional race driver, he says, sitting next to a professional race driver. But Matt has worked away through GT3 with Bentley, amongst others, with Lmp3, who's been a pretty regular race and podium contender. And then with Ben Hanley as well, sitting alongside. He's had a long career with Dragon Speed, with some success there. It's good to see that coming together. And Rodrigo Sales, of course, the glue that holds that together in terms of the resource, the commercial punch that brings that effort to Nielsen Racing.
And really, Nielsen Racing are sort of not nailed on for the victory here, but they really are in the box seats. You know, they've got a fast car, great driver lineup, they're well drilled. You know, so I think that they really are in that perfect position to take the victory in LMP2. But yeah, great to see that all the boys there. You know, in that interview, ready to go, and yeah, looking forward to the race this evening.
Well, we heard from Ben Hanley saying there was a minor issue. Team got on top of that. We know the Nielsen Racing car on the other side of the garage may well have some issues to get hold of. But the best news from those 3 sessions was there were no major dramas. We've not seen teams that are, you know, basically bringing parts of the car back in a bucket.
Yep.
You know, that's what we don't want to see at this stage with this kind of packed schedule we've got, not just this weekend but next as well.
Yeah,
there's very little downtime.
Yeah, we saw that last year, that there were a number of teams having incidents, and you know, you were having to really scramble to get, you know, chassis and spares. And I think Jota were that team from last year that had some big issues with that. But it's you know, got through the first qualifying session, no major incidents, everybody kept it on track, and you know, all the machinery came back exactly as it left the pit lane. It's good.
Well, we've seen from a camera view outside the cars this 5.39 kilometre Dubai Autodrome. Let's go on board again and have a look what this looks like from the driver's view. Let's go and do that now.
Hi, this is Nicky Katzberg, and I'm going to take you on board for a lap of the Dubai Autodrome in my BMW M4 GT3. Long straight here, coming onto turn 1, which is a big downhill brake zone, heavy braking, really tough for the brakes, for the left front tire. So downhill here, turn in, try to clip the curb on the inside to get some extra rotation. Get ready for a fast left-hander here, over the curb, and then into this really high-speed section, turn 3, double apex. Really cool part of the track. Still high speed to the left here, over the curb. Big curbs on the right. Double right-hander, really tough to slow it down for the slow part here. Not using too much of the curb. Try to use all of it on the exit, maybe a bit too much here. Double left, very interesting corner, banked, which makes it interesting. Long corner, very tough on the right-hand side tires. Fully over the exit curb here and preparing for the longest straight of the track, trying to have a good exit speed to be faster than everyone else. Again, big braking zone, I would say around about 120 meters, very heavy on the brakes into the ABS, making sure to clip the inside here for that extra bit of rotation, staying to the right, preparing for the next left-hander. Over the curb again, might get a little unsettled, exit curb, very technical section here. Uphill for this right-hander, and then the exit is off-camber and downhill, which makes it very tricky for traction, but our BMW M4 is fantastic, new car, and it's doing really well. Last sector of the track, fast left-hander into a very high banked left-hander here, very technical part again of the track. Love this part, making sure that you stick to the left here to prepare this right-hander. Take all of the inside curb, as much exit speed as you can. I might have gotten a penalty for going too wide. Last corner, making sure you clip the apex and prepare for the straight. All of the exit curb. That was a lap of the Dubai Autodrome circuit.
That was a new for 2022 M4 GT3. As we're hearing from Nicky just the other evening, Ollie, a big difference, particularly for the non-professional drivers of the M6, which perhaps was a less friendly environment for them to adapt to.
Yeah, it certainly seems that they've got themselves, they've learned the experience from that M6 and applying it all to the M4. And you're certainly, it certainly seems that they've got some good performance there. Maybe not completely unlocked all of the pace from the car. But it seems that drivers are more comfortable in that car. And certainly looked like Nicky was doing a fine job behind the wheel there. Maybe he missed a couple of apexes and drifted a little bit wide. Maybe Eduardo would have pinged him for a bit of track limits. No. I'll just go and have a word with him and give him a few tips, a bit of guidance.
They can't get the staff nowadays,
well, maybe
can
not,
they? Really?
Maybe I just need to go and give him
good
a
that
bit
he's
of
chosen the nickname the Cat rather than the Berg, which I think is probably better, and it does suit him. So that was it. That was 6 rapid sessions of qualifying in all three of the classes. GT3 to start with, those 23 cars, 9 cars in LMP3, the 4 cars in LMP2. We've got the grid settled. We've got the pole position car settled. We've learned a lot. But what we've not yet seen at race pace, Ollie, other than the free practice sessions, is how these teams are going to gel together. And what we absolutely know from the ebb and flow of what's happened there, both in the heat of the day and at night, is things are going to change from what appeared to be the established order in those qualifying sessions. It's not going to be like that.
No, I think we're going to see quite a difference in how teams perform and also how cars perform, in the different conditions as that track temperature drops off, go into the darkness. How good are their lights? How good are their drivers seeing in the dark? Because it really is going to be very, very dark. And we saw that, through a number of practices yesterday and the day before. So drivers were really struggling with the darkness out there. So it's going to be something that teams are going to be working on their lights, drivers are going to be working on their position on the racetrack, where they're going to have to place themselves, what curves they can hit, what they can't hit, track limits, all those things. It really does get into quite a melting pot of things that you've got to watch for as a driver and as a team manager and an engineer. There's lots to work on.
Great stuff. Well, very shortly we're going to look back at some brief highlights from those qualifying sessions for both race 1, which takes place this evening in just under 5 hours, and we're going to take race 2 after that, which takes place tomorrow. Both races into full darkness here at the Dubai Autodrome. And we've got more of this to look forward to in another week's time, Ollie. It's a rapid turnaround for us. I've got to pack.
It's going to take you some time.
It does take me some, but not quite as long as it does to pack up a garage, put it in a container, and away they go for another week. It's hard work for these teams.
Yes, it is. And it is intensive, but I think that the teams like it in this layout and this way, this configuration. It really gives them that opportunity to rinse and repeat, one weekend to the next. Yes, it is intensive, but they've got everybody here, they've got all the resources, and they could just go racing, and that's what everybody loves to do.
Yeah, I'm hearing very few squabbles about the format again this year. It was, I think, a revelation to very many teams, and lots of the drivers that were coming in new to endurance racing last year came away from it. All sorts of calls and messages and emails from teams, from drivers saying how much they enjoyed it last year, how rewarding it was. Even some of those ones that perhaps didn't have the best of seasons in the Asian Le Mans Series appreciated the fact they were able to get through a big to-do list in rapid-fire order. And
the atmosphere is great as well, and we were good facilities. I think everybody just enjoys a little bit of, particularly if you're from Northern Europe, a nice bit of summer sun.
Yeah, because we don't get much of that. As you can see, they're kind of rather paler face here. But it is good to be back. And it is great in particular to see far more of our Southeast Asian friends and colleagues back this season. Sadly, some of them couldn't make it. There are still travel restrictions which are putting a wrinkle in that. But great to see some of our friends from Malaysia, from China here this year that couldn't make it last year. The world is beginning to open up again. And we're going to have spectators trackside for the first time again since the start of the pandemic, and that's another move forward, and we're looking forward to welcoming them too.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully get some in the grandstand across from us here in the pit lane and paddock, and it would be great to see those fans back and that bit of engagement, however much that is.
And by the way, look forward to in just under 5 hours for the start of this race, and we'll be reaching out, I'm sure, on social media, so you can interact with us here in the booth throughout that race. And if there's questions you want to ask, we'll see if we can find someone smart enough to answer them for you. So we'll see how that one goes too. I'm enjoying it so far. It is one of those seasons you tend to look forward to. It's a great family atmosphere with the Asian Le Mans Series, and it's attracting new friends around the world. And it's going to be interesting to see as we come into the GT3 era. Let's go, though, before we talk about that, into highlights of those 6 qualifying sessions. Let's start with race 1. GT3 qualifying for race 1, and initially into the pound seats was the number 17 car. This is the APM Monaco car from AF Corsa, but Ben Barnicoat it was that took the Inception Racing McLaren to the top of the times. That time, though, was matched by the Ferrari at the end of the session. LMP3 and the first qualifying session delayed just slightly with a problem for the Nielsen Racing car. They wouldn't take part in the session. G-Drive Racing making their debut in LMP3 racing, but no one could do anything about the pace of Ranseur, reigning European Le Mans Series LMP3 champion. He put his mark with a vengeance on the session in the Nemo liveried DCAR Engineering Duquesne to take pole position. LMP2, first out was Dennis Anderson in the high-class racing car. This 4-car field, 3 Orecas and 1 Ligier, but it was not the Graf racing car for the first session, but this car, the number 4 Nielsen racing car, new addition to their fleet that would take pole position with Ben for race 1. Race 2, and it was Ben Barnicoat that would be looking to do what he could do after that matched times at the top of the order. But he could do no better than 3rd quickest, a mighty 500th of a second off pole position, because it was Johnny Adam that set pole this time for the TF Sport car, just 0.003 of a second to the good over the nearest contender this time. Fantastic stuff there. In LMP3, it was the Nielsen Racing car tussling away at the start of the session with Colin Noble trying to get track position. Didn't quite manage to do that ultimately. Good run for the 26 car, but could do nothing to prevent Laurence Herr completing a pole double for DCAR Engineering. Luxembourg at the top of the tree, as we've seen so many times. LMP2. And Neil Muston, an improvement, and he managed to grab 3rd place in the order from the high-class racing car. Great run from David Drew, who is putting Ben Hanley under pressure, but Hanley still managed to come back with a double pole position for the LMP2 season debut for Nielsen Racing in their number 4 Oreca 07.
So, with the grids are now set for both of the races this weekend here at the Dubai Autodrome, and so we've got much to look forward to. Those 4-hour races are going to be spectacular, and I think there's going to be a huge challenge there for the teams to really read how the track is going to develop over the next few hours. And the sun going down and trying to get their preparations and their strategy ready. And certainly the team's getting lined up for that. And there's only, 5 hours to go, so it's going to be pretty busy and hectic.
And it's going to be a very different track by the time we get there for 2 reasons. It is about the temperatures we were saying a little before we ran through highlights there, but also, as you might hear in the background, a lot of the track action. We've got F4 and F3 cars out there, a lot of rubber down as we move towards the race start time in just over 4.5 hours. Let's go now to finish for the action from qualifying. Let's talk to Nadia down in pit lane.
Yes, that was a fantastic display of speed, skills, and a very good teamwork from all the teams in qualifying sessions. The track is already hot. We've got only 4 more hours till the race flags off later for race 1 here at the 2022 Asian Le Mans Series. So we're all pumped up. We have seen what the teams and the drivers and the cars can display, can show. So we are excited to see what is going to happen later on. So be sure you tune in. We're going live at 4 p.m. here local time, right here on the Asian Le Mans Series. But for now, I will say thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nadia Nash. I will see you very, very soon.